greatly appreciate it if you would stop Rob Taylor from blathering on and on.
Opinions expressed by the talk show hosts, callers, or guests on the Rob Taylor Report do not necessarily represent the opinions of the hosting platform, subsidiaries, sponsors, or possibly anyone else on the planet or the known universe. From the tinfoil and lead-lined broadcast bunker on the beautiful south coast of Oregon, it's the Rob Taylor Report. So strap yourself in. Your political therapy session is about to begin. Ladies and gentlemen, here he is, the nearly famous Rob Taylor.
Hey, Coos County. Hello, Oregon. Hello, America and beyond. I want to thank you for joining me. I've got a couple of guests who are going to come on. I got my regular co-host, Marty Kuhrt, will be joining me. But I also have a special guest, Sonja Feintech is going to be joining us. She ran, now I forget which district it was. It was the old, well, let me think about this. It's going to take a few minutes. Maybe Marty will know. Marty, what? You're raising your hand, right?
No, I'm saying 5.
5. District 5. That's it. It was District 5. Yeah, because was that DeFazio's old district? He was District 4. Okay, that's what was getting me confused. DeFazio was District 4, and then that was a cutout for District 5. And all of that got changed when they rewrote the districts and did redistricting.
Yeah, when they gerrymandered the crap out of it, then District 5 came into play. And I think DeReamer was she running against well, anyway, she was in there, and she was running as an incumbent against the person that you're bringing on, who was the Libertarian candidate.
Yes, and she didn't even come in third. She came in fourth. There was a third party candidate who came in between her and the next one up, which was the Republican, who now works. I believe she works for the Trump administration.
Wow. Oh, you mean DeReamer or DeReamer or whatever her name is? Or
Yeah, I think DeReamer went to the Trump administration.
Yeah, I think she got some gig in the Trump administration, and I was like, okay, well, she wasn't really that good as our representative, so I don't know. What's this, like a consolation prize? Sorry, you lost your election. Here's, you can be our ambassador to, Hutsi Tudu or something,
Yeah. I think it was something a little more significant than which. If they ever gave me one of those jobs to go to some island to be the ambassador, I'm on my way. That's a good gig, no matter how you shape it up. You know what I mean? Unless it's in Iran, unless they're sending you to Iran, it's going to be a pretty good gig. So, but I think she went to the Department of Justice office. Wasn't she an attorney? Gosh, I can't even remember now.
Well, let me read the Wikipedia, and maybe I can find out.
Yeah, I got the ballot.
Okay, so he said Trump was going to announce his intent to nominate her as the U.S. Secretary of Labor.
That was it.
She was confirmed by the U.S. Senate on March 10th, 2025, by a bipartisan vote of 67 to 32.
And the reason being was that she was had a lot of good contacts with the unions and worked well with the unions. And that's what she was known for here in Oregon, even though she was a Republican. And she voted against Trump for the impeachment. She actually voted to impeach him.
Wow. Yeah, her father, she was from Santa Clara, California, and her father was described as the Mexican-American Teamster. So, yeah.
The Mexican-American Teamster. Oh, wow. Yeah, let's see. I got it right here. Is that still sharing? Yeah, I just switched that over. So Lori Chavez de Reamer, she got promoted. That's what happens in politics when you lose an election, you get a promotion. And she went to the Secretary of Labor. Yeah, this is too much. Wow, that does not surprise me. Well, there you go. There you go. And if Sonja gets on here, let me make sure she hasn't. No, she said she was driving up to her mother's house, and her mom has a farm several hours away from where she lives. And she thought she may be a little bit late. So if she is, well, I can understand. That's one of those things when you live on a farm. You know how that goes.
Oh, yeah.
Because you used to live on a farm, right?
I did a lot of work on a farm. I lived in a very small farming community in northeast Iowa. So pretty much everybody that lived in town was a former farmer, and everybody I went to school with were farmers. So I spent a lot of time baling hay, milking cows, that kind of thing. So
God,
never lived on a farm, but did a lot of farm work, shall we
yeah,
say.
did a lot of farm work. Never want to do that again. And
That's actual work.
That's actual work. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, the guys on the football team, on the college football team, they would go and buck hay for, during the season because it would build up their mass, their muscle mass, and give them a chance to also earn money as well.
Baling hay was not my favorite because the bales pretty much weighed the same amount I did. So throwing bales was a really interesting exercise in physics. It was how to throw a bale into a hay wagon when you weigh about the same thing as the bale. So
as the bale of hay. Well, here's a lady who probably has done a few hay baling in her time. Sonja, how you doing?
Hey, I'm good. Can you hear me?
Yeah. Did you make it okay? Was everything all right?
Yeah, it was just, I was running around the house trying to find the best internet. So hopefully this is good. I'm at my family's farm, so it can be a little spotty, but I like that you guys are talking about hay baling. It has been a while since I have done that because I put my time in and I am highly allergic. And yeah, those bales weigh more than me when I was like 12 years old, like bucking those things up. So I put my time in. I don't need to do that anymore.
Yeah. No, I was telling him about how the guys here on the football team, they would specifically, the older guys would tell the freshmen, go buck some hay because that's how you bulk up, man. And it was no kidding, and of course the farmers are more than happy to feed them a little bit, pay them a little bit. And it's a pretty damn good deal, Yeah.
So, if you can throw a bunch of bales of hay, you can throw an offensive lineman. So there you go. That's good training.
That's good training. Yeah. So I love watching your pages on X, your post on X, because you are truly a down-to-earth farm girl. And I miss the videos you used to do for the election. There was one, and I tried to find it, where you had the hanging cows and you were kind of doing this strange dance with the hanging cows. Do you remember that? And it was so new wave, and it was like something from Pulp Fiction, but yet homey about it. It was just really cool. I'm sorry, I just love that.
That's how I got the term the gross meat lady. Someone said it as an insult one time, being like, you're just a gross meat lady. And I'm like, that is going in my bio. Yeah. But I realized I had this amazing opportunity. For me, it's normal. I don't think about it. I'm just like, yeah, or there's meat hanging around and we're cutting it up. And I was like, maybe I'll film some of the shenanigans. And people love it. They're just excited to see that whole side of food production. And I think it inspired a lot of people too. So I'll put out more stuff. I'm not really a content creator. I'm literally trying to do work. So
I noticed that, but that's kind of like what you do now when you're a candidate. All of a sudden your life is an open book, and I got to film every little thing. Oh, look what I had for dinner. Oh, look where I'm going for, and it's you just, you know what I mean? You just okay, I'm done. But that's politics today, unfortunately.
That's true. That's very true.
Were you? We were just talking about the race, and we were just talking about how Lori de Reamer literally lost the race and then got a promotion through the Trump administration. Do you kind of want to address that? Because I would be a little ticked myself.
It was annoying. It was like, wait a minute. Like the points that we were making about Lori and why she was terrible and why she was such a rhino and a neocon, that was everything the Trump administration was saying that they were against, all of those things. But so we kicked her out, you know, Libertarian Party candidate, myself, with the help of the independent candidate, actually, because he ended up being very based and taking a lot of votes. He had a great ground game. Kudos to him. But so we ended up making her lose, but then she goes straight to the Trump administration. And I think that's also why she ran a really garbage campaign too. They didn't spend that much. When you look at her versus, I mean, she spent a lot, but like compared to Bynum, that really wanted it. So I think that was in the works for a while, but it's like, and then it all made sense because at the, some of the rallies, they had the Teamsters guy speak, and it was the first time in like however long that a Teamsters union leader guy spoke at one of these events. And so the writing was kind of on the wall because she's been buddying up to the unions and the Teamsters. So of course, you know, but it still doesn't make sense to me. It's gross. I tried to tell people, I'm like, you know, we're all trying to rally behind people or say, don't appoint this person. I was like, Lori too. No one cares about labor secretary, but this lady's toxic. Oh, well.
Right. I totally agree with you. And that's exactly the type of Republican that we're looking to get rid of. I spent 25 years in the Libertarian Party. And in fact, the reason I got to work for a Republican governor was that I was the liaison between the Libertarian Party and the Republican Party. And then I went on to become an advisor for Governor Gary Johnson, and which was really fun. That was a fun time in my life. And you get to change the Republicans. And we were changing the Republicans to become more constitutional, more practice what you preach when you're conservatives. You know what I mean? And that was the nice thing about being in the office of Johnson, was that, you know, here I am with a governor who doesn't eat sugar, doesn't eat caffeine. He was the state triathlon winner, and he was promoting the legalization of marijuana. And that was the big push that we were doing back then. And it was, you know, it was cool to be able to work with the Republicans because you saw so many kids getting the promises from the Democrats. Oh, we're going to legalize. Just keep voting for us. And they were just pushing socialism even then. And it wasn't about legalization. It was about control.
Right. No, absolutely. That coalition building is huge. And, you know, I work a lot with the Mises caucus, which is a caucus within the Libertarian Party. And, you know, we get hate for the fact that we're willing to work with Republicans and coalition build. But for me, you know, I'm very principles over party. I love the party and I think it's really important. However, I want to see the principles and the ideology live on. And if we keep it in our little echo chamber, we're not going to make a difference at all. So if we can influence the Republicans to take on these libertarian talking points and actually implement them, that's a huge win. That's exactly what we're supposed to be doing. And in Oregon, we're more likely to be able to influence the Republicans than the Democrats because they're so far gone.
Right. And now I am a Republican because I got canceled by a Republican senator. I don't know whether you've known that since the last time you were on my radio show, but I actually got canceled. And so I joined the Republican Party because I wanted to change the party and I was pissed off at them. And that was the only way I could get close enough to do it. And I love being able to tell all my conservative friends out there, yeah, I'm a pot smoking, gun carrying Republican who doesn't mind going to my gay friend's wedding. Okay. You know what I mean? So, you know, in your face, I don't care. But yet I feel more conservative than most Republicans out there because I think all three of those issues are conservative issues because government doesn't need to be in my bedroom, in my lungs, or telling me what to do with my firearms. And all three of them are conservative issues. No,
100%. I mean, yeah, I I don't have anything to say counter that at all. I mean, that's the entire purpose. And, you know, you have right now there's that big push against Massey, which is a huge mistake in my mind, because he is the epitome of what the Republican Party should be. And it's basically what people voted for. And now there's a push to get, you know, him and anyone like him out. And that's going to backfire.
That's going to backfire huge.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Marty.
I'm wondering how much of that is kabuki theater, though. I mean, how much of this, because there's some of this stuff where it's, you know, oh, Trump and Elon, or, you know, oh my God, my parents are breaking up, and Trump and Elon are like having fights, and, you know, and what will happen now? And then, you know, there are situations where it's like all of a sudden, like, oh, this guy is a great guy. And then it's like, oh no, we got to, you know, now Elon's gone, we got to get rid of Massey, and we're going to start the America First, program or political party. That's the word I'm looking for. We're going to start the America First political party, and we're going to get rid of Massey, and we're going to primary all these people. And then it'll be like, I think it's just to like ducking and fainting to see how many other idiots go, yeah, let's go with what they're saying. And it's like, oh, psyched. We talked you into doing something really stupid. Yeah, we really do like Massey, and we just wanted to see how many of you jerks were turncoats. That's what
I kind of think that too. What do you think, Sonja? That's kind of a good point. You know what I mean? I don't know.
I don't know. I am of the understanding that the people in politics that run things are largely unimpressive, unintelligent people. So when people start getting into this 4D chess stuff, I'm like, you know, unless you're the Chinese and you're thinking like generations ahead, because that's a part of your culture, we're not really, I don't really see that sort of game being played. It really does seem to be gut reactions, short-term gains, long-term consequences that no one cares about. You know, Trump just fully endorsed Lindsey Graham. You know, he said he's going to go and, you know, hold rallies against Massey in his own state. Like, and this has been fairly ongoing. So I don't really know what's going on with that. I don't really see that perspective. I think that there's a huge shirking of what the base voted for in the first place, and it's not happening on a bunch of different scales. And there's been some good things. I'm not, you know, I don't have TDS or anything like that. I can applaud the good things. And I think certainly having this administration versus the other option is a good thing, obviously. But I can also point out the things where I'm like, this is bad. This is not what people want. And you see that in the polling. You see that in, you know, the rhetoric and all the influencers and everyone that helped get Trump involved in the first place or get him elected. They're all kind of like, what's going on? This is weird.
Right. And it always happens, though. It's almost like I vote for somebody, and then it's almost like I put a calendar, you know, a scratch on the calendar, just waiting to see when they're going to show their true colors or flip or do whatever. And to Marty's point, I wonder sometimes if that's part of the play. I wonder if it's just it's just vitriol. Maybe they're just, you know, it's, you know, boys being boys, and this is the type of spat because they can't go and beat each other up on the playground. So this is what they do with each other. I know when I'm mad at a politician and they're my friends, I sometimes am a little mean. Okay. I can be just kind of a little bit brutal, you know, and then I'm having to work with them on an issue. So I understand that. But to your point, though, is to Sonja, your point about this is going to backfire. I completely agree with you that if they keep pushing against people like Rand Paul and Massey and any of the other conservatives who don't want foreign wars, who want a fiscal conservative government, they keep nailing on those guys, there's going to be a hell to pay for the Republicans. And I want to play this video of Massey because I think what you're talking about, he says it quite well in his video.
The same plot every fiscal year. What should we be doing? It's already been discussed. We should have done 12 separate bills. But again, whether Democrats are in control or Republicans are in control, we never do the 12 separate bills. Why do we always spend at least as much as we did last year, and why do we never cut spending? It's because Democrats want to grow the welfare state and Republicans want to grow the military industrial complex. And we're eventually going to get together and they're both going to go up. I guarantee it. It's just
okay, so I got to open up my brew right now because he is absolutely right, and I got to drink because, man, that just ticks me off. Marty, you got something to say about that?
Oh, well, he does have a point, and some of it we're getting news from so many different sources now and so many different outlets, but there's still a lot of propaganda and news shaping going on that usually when something comes out and there's a big kerfuffle about it and there's much gnashing of teeth and finger pointing and people being annoyed and all that stuff, I'm like, let's give this a couple of days. Let's see what happens, because there's going to be so many people that are going to jump right on it. And it's sort of like back in the days when a lot of the online news places were like, bombshell, and then pretty soon you're going, hey, this is just clickbait. They're just trying to suck me into reading this article. It's like, did you see what Trump said today? Click here. And I'm like, I'm not falling for that.
But he was right, though. Massey's right, though. Everything he says is freaking right. And it makes me mad because I want to grab these damn MAGA people and go, why? Why are you, no matter what, going to follow Trump? Because we can't do that again. We can't just blindly follow people. And
how many MAGA people do we actually have installed at this point? I mean, they're pointing out who some of the rhinos are, and we absolutely positively know how the Democrats are, because right now they're figuring out how to message having underage workers at a California pot farm be okay. They're like, Newsom is like, ICE agents went in and raided this strawberry harvesting operation, and children were screaming and mothers were running, and it's like, they had 35 underage children harvesting marijuana at an illegal location, and they were all illegals. And it's like, yeah, nice try at the spin, but we're not buying it. And so there's a lot of spin goes on. And yes, you're absolutely correct, because no matter who is running the show, I've never seen a budget where it's like, oh, you know what? We spent $1 trillion last year. What do you say we try to do $800 million this year? And figure out where we're cutting. I mean, a lot of the Doge stuff that went in, finding out the trillions of dollars wasted in Social Security and the trillions of dollars wasted in USAID. And, it's like, and now let's do the same for the federal budget. And I don't think they've quite caught on to that yet, or are they just trying to push through something now so that they can, work on let's get it better part 2, because they're going to have to do incremental moves for a lot of this stuff, because there's still a lot of rhinos and there's still a lot of hard left Ds that are still installed. So you got to kind of work around the minefield to get to, how you're going to get to the golden age. Well, you're going to have to walk through, it's like going out to milk the cows. You have to walk through, like a lot of cow poop to get there.
Okay, cheesy platitudes, man. Cheesy platitudes. Okay,
cheesy
Sonja,
platitudes.
I know you want to speak to that.
Yeah, I mean, I would say that, the super pork filled Build Back Better. I'm sorry, Big Beautiful Bill. Same thing though. It's kind of ridiculous because they're relying for this CR. They're relying on our federal spending from 2024, not 2019, before COVID and everything, where with Pelosi and all of them, they ramped up how much money we were spending, because we were in a pandemic and all this stuff. So instead of going back to that normal pre-COVID spending, which was still like psychotic and awful, and I don't even know if that video of Massey is from pre-2019 or after. There's multiple videos of him saying basically the exact same thing his entire tenure in Congress. But so they're pulling from 2024 instead of being like, all right, we made it through this thing, let's go back. Like there's just, it's so irresponsible. But the people in Congress are so disconnected from the daily lives and the needs of the American people. They live in their bubble. They're playing their games. They're doing all whatever weird, freaky stuff they're doing, and it's happening on both sides. They don't care about the little people. They want what's theirs. They want their special deals, and they have their masters to answer to, you know, and there's multiple things I could mention that maybe would get me in trouble, but there's all sorts of lobbies that are pulling the strings. You know, you got the military industrial complex, you know, Vanguard, BlackRock, all those things are the safest ones to say. And so they're not answerable to the American people. And it's funny to me because every election cycle I hear people say, all right, we got a primary. We got to primary these guys out. Elon's saying it, like we're gonna everyone that, you know, voted to not approve the Doge bill that they neatly packaged, that the American people in their mandate said that they wanted this to happen. We were applauding it when it happened. They had a ton of support. They neatly packaged it up, gave it to Congress, and they're like, nah, we don't actually want that. We just wanted to get, you know, what we wanted through. I lost my train of thought. What my I was on a roll there too. Dang.
Yeah, you started with 2019 saying, okay, why did we go back to pre-COVID numbers as opposed to picking up the numbers of 2024? So
yeah, and so you had Doge, you had all that spending, and that got kicked down the road. So we're not getting that anymore. And so at this point, I think that was like the first like real like nail in the coffin was when all the Doge stuff fell through. Because I think that was really popular, at least with conservatives and Republicans. Democrats had this crazy idea in their head because of propaganda. Right. But, you know, I don't really know. Oh, I was talking about the primary, right? So everyone's like, okay, we're just going to primary these guys. We're going to get them out. Simple. People are upset. They're going to show up to vote and they're going to change the system. Perfect. We'll get more Matthews in there. But the problem is that not enough people are involved with their local politics and their caucuses and their state parties. And those are corrupt to the core. And like in here in Oregon, the Oregon Republican Party is in collusion with the Democratic Party. I saw it when I worked on a campaign for governor. They are so connected to each other. They're literally built to fail. So you're not going to be able to impact the primary process until you impact your local government, your chair, you know, your county chairs, all of that, and take that over. That's even more important than trying to push through your candidates in a primary.
So here's the funny thing. You're sitting there and saying something that is very important to us here in Coos County. The senator who got me kicked off the air is a Republican, and we're having a battle between his supporters and my supporters over the Coos County Republican Party. And we're beating the hell out of each other. And because we are beating the hell out of each other, the Democrats just took over the school districts that we won 2 years ago. And so until one of us has to win or one of us has to give in, and I'm not giving in, and I doubt he's going to give in. So one of us has to win. And the only way we can change what's happening in our county is to change the Republican Party in our county first, and then we can work from there. Because like you said, the party is corrupted. The local party is captured, and we're really working against ourselves when we try to work with this Republican Party. We're giving money to them, and they're wasting it on bullshit, and it's just annoying to see this crap.
Yeah, and when they're answerable to the RNC and they've got some garbage relationship with them, where you could have great candidates that the grassroots want, that everyone rallies behind, but if the RNC is not willing to drop money into it, they're not going to get pushed through. They're not going to meet the debate thresholds, like any of that. So, I love the sentiment around primarying these congressmen. Congresswomen, like that's definitely like the correct intent. However, it starts way farther down the stream than up there.
Well, and it's important that we have the third parties so that we can we have leverage on the Republicans with the third parties. They will listen to us more when we have candidates who could play as spoilers. I think you were listened to a lot more because you were considered a spoiler. I don't know. Didn't you get that feeling that they pay attention to you a lot more because of that?
Yeah, and if that was the intention, and if they didn't get the message, then we're just going to keep doing it. In every state, that's a part of our strategy with the Libertarian Party, is to identify the battleground races. And a part of the Project Decentralized Revolution is to focus on small winnable races, which I think is great. We should have libertarians on the school board, on the watershed council, on the Department of Transportation. Like, we should have libertarians in all of these winnable offices. Unfortunately, most of those don't have their party name to them. However, those are winnable things, but running these obviously unwinnable races does come with a really, really important task, which is to create that pressure and show the Republican Party, which is who we're pressuring in Oregon. However, if you're a libertarian in Texas, you're probably going to they lean more blue because they're a counter to the Republican Party. And this is an important counterweight. We're going to continue trying to pressure the Republicans with our messaging, saying, hey, like, if you guys run a pro, liberty candidate that checks off all of these boxes, they can be Republican. That's okay. We'll lay off. Hey, if they're good enough, we might even support you. We won't run someone, because all we need in a district like 5 that I just ran is 4% to make them lose.
Right. And that's really where we need this liaison between the Republicans and the Libertarians in Oregon. I think that's something that's absolutely important, because one, if we don't get the dirtbag Republican out in the primary, then we want to be able to get behind a good Libertarian candidate in the general. You know what I mean? And I'm one of those who, right now, the Republican Party, and this came straight from the chair, they have the philosophy: any Republican that has an R after their name is a good Republican, no matter who they are, what they stand for. Mannix, he's a great. Givaldi, great Republicans. These are great Republicans. And so we're supposed to support this garbage, because their philosophy is the more leftist Republicans we can get into office, the further right we're going to get Salem to become. I'm not sure how that strategy works. I call it the total surrender strategy.
Yes. If you throw your weapons down hard enough and wave your white flags fast enough, you too can be a winner. That's all you need.
Yeah,
I'm waving my white flag with vigor, and I'm cooling off all those Democrats because I am a good Republican.
Yeah, I mean, you have Democrats that are classical liberals that are not the worst. And then you have Democrats that are raging communists. It's the same thing in the Republican Party. Heck, even in the Libertarian Party, we have crazy leftist libertarians that we'd rather not have to deal with. And then we have other ones that lean more to the right. And it's the same situation across the board. I ran into that a lot when I ran for my campaign. I had Republican friends that would reach out being like, why are you doing this? She has an R next to her name. This is a +2 district. You're going to make us lose this and that. And I said, what's the point? She's going to vote with them on the things that matter. She's going to vote against our interests. She's going to vote with Democrats for war and all the stupid spending. And then look, you have a Republican majority. What did they just do? They just passed the stupidest spending bill. The grossest, most inflated, pork-filled piece of garbage
that they should have broke down. They should have, even if they didn't do the 12 bills, they could have done 4 bills. They could have done, whatever. But
they won't do it, and that's really important that Massey's pointing that out, and he has been pointing that out for a long time. That's literally how it's supposed to function. But they like to push it. They like to create these omnibuses, these unreadable monstrosities. And that way they can keep on electing and getting in congressmen that are honestly not that intelligent. They don't have the ability to digest all this information and even understand what they're voting for.
Most of them don't read all that stuff. And if they did read all that stuff, most of the ones that I've seen don't really have the cognitive capabilities to understand what the heck it is they're voting for, because it's not like these things are written in plain English with easily digestible information. They're done, they obscure things on purpose. They give bills names that are actually the opposite of what they're supposed to be doing. So it's like Affordable Health Care Act, none of the above. It's not affordable. It's not health care. And if it's an act, well, I'm not watching it because it's pornographically bad. But I mean, it's this kind of stuff. I mean, and then like, even getting into the Supreme Court. I mean, like Ketanji Brown was her dissent had it was like there was too much. She's going, well, I didn't read it because there's too much legalese. The purpose of the Supreme Court is to look at laws and dissect them and come up with ways that are cohesive and coherent, such that everybody can agree on how these laws should be applied. And to say math's too tough, sign me up for Mr. Math. I'm like, what the hell? I mean, come on.
If you hire a rocket scientist, you want them to be able to do math. Like that's your understanding is that, okay, you're an expert in math and equations and understanding these things. You don't hire, which is what she is. She's hired by the American people through the arm of the administration to interpret legalese, to interpret the Constitution.
Yeah.
So, and this always cracks me up. There are people out there who look down upon anyone who works in agriculture. If you're a farmer, you're a rancher, you're a rube, you just work with them cows and you work with them crops. That's all you do. You're out there with your overalls, spitting the weeds and working with the scarecrows. And
we're all living in a version of a hee-haw.
Version of a hee-haw. And I don't know how many times I wanted to tell them, China starved 100 million people because they got rid of their farmers and ranchers and put a bunch of college kids who didn't know what the hell they were doing out on the farms and ranches. And when I see these college kids who are giving advice to farmers and ranchers who don't know diddly, you know what I mean? Yeah. It's infuriating. And like I said, they look down on farmers and ranchers like it's a science. And it's not the same everywhere, because to grow in the Coquille Valley is completely different than growing wherever you're at. You know what I mean? There's different soils, there's different weathers and climates, and you've got to learn the land as well as learn all the other aspects to farming and ranching. And I don't think
randomly
people
select
realize
what they're going to grow. It's not like they're randomly selecting what they're going to grow. I mean, where I grew up in Northeast Iowa, it's like, okay, one year you're growing corn, next year you're growing soybeans, then maybe you'll put cattle out to pasture, because you got to rotate crops. You got to have the science where you're going to put nitrogen back in the oil or back in the soil, and so forth and so on. And it's like, there's a lot that goes on to get this stuff to work. You can't just say, well, I grew some tomatoes in my garden last year. Let me do 10,000 acres of corn this year. Ain't going to happen.
Right, because you have too much at stake. I mean, that's your livelihood, right? You can't afford to make mistakes. You must make really intelligent executive decisions. And sometimes it really will go wrong. But I think it's more of like farmers understand the science of repeatability. Right? If you do something enough times a certain way, you know that it works, right? So you're going to rely. That's why it's like, well, this is the way my grandpappy did it and his grandpappy before that, and sometimes I feel like farmers kind of get stuck in a generational rut where there can be like a fear to innovate a little bit. But at the same time, if it works, just keep on doing it. You don't have to keep on like completely reinventing the wheel.
And that's the brain trust that you won't get in a college classroom. That's the brain trust that comes with experience, proved and tried, living what you did and how it was done in the past. And that's when they were trying to get rid of and this literally happened up here in where I live. They were trying to turn the Coquille Valley back to reclamation before any remnants of humans. And there was like 99 farms they were going to get rid of. And some of these farms have been there 100 and some odd years, generational farms that people had to live there that long to know how to manage the land, because it took that long to understand the land. And when you get rid of those people, it never comes back. And the U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service, they're lousy about thinking they know what was there and what wasn't there.
Well,
So,
and every person I've met at Fish and Wildlife is somebody that has a college degree in some sort of specific area. And we ran into one of them when we were doing the wind turbine thing, where it was like, yes, I have a degree in oceanography. And I'm like, have you ever been out on a boat? Have you ever actually done any crabbing? Have you ever done any salmon fishing? Do you know what it's like to work on those boats and what it means to be able to, continuously, fish in the proper way so that you have more fish next year? Or did you just open a book and say, hey, I've got a degree and now I'm going to determine what you should be doing for a living because I've never done that.
Right. No, exactly. And my family, we have an internship program here at Helios Farms. And we have, there's been several times there's been interns that show up that are studying agriculture at the university, either in University of Oregon or Oregon State. And they want to come to the farm and get some hands-on experience with, raw milk, or they want to study the soil, or they want to understand about rotational grazing. They're smart. They want hands-on experience. And a lot of the time they end up questioning everything that they're learning in school. And they either walk away from their education so they can do the full-time internship at the farm because they're like, wow, one, we're paying for this education and it's bogus. Everything they're telling us is wrong because we see it literally the opposite being implemented on this farm. And two, I'm gonna course correct my career. I actually want to do it this way and I want to learn. So I'm gonna stay and do this internship program and get real applicable work that you can put on a resume that matters way more to a farm than your silly degree.
So you're saying chocolate milk doesn't come out of a brown cow? Is that what you're saying?
Sometimes you don't want to drink it.
Yeah, sometimes, but you don't want to drink it. Yeah, that was a good one. Very good. I haven't heard that one in a while. That was a good one. Yeah. So I kind of want to flip the subject because we're talking about farming and ranching, and the reason I kind of led down this road was in southern parts of the United States, we depend on migrant farm workers to pick our crops. Right now, we've got the immigration situation going on. I think in many aspects it's unfair because Biden literally bribed and teased these people to come over here with all the goodies from the welfare state. Then these people come over here. And then, of course, now we've got a new administration saying, get the hell out. And I think in some ways it's kind of unfair to some of them. I think they were lied to. I think they were misled. And now we see what's happening. You as a libertarian, because there are different aspects of libertarians on immigration. I myself, I believe in borders, but there are people who are libertarians who believe in open borders. And I would believe in open borders if we didn't have a welfare state and the rest of the world shared our values as far as the U.S. Constitution. That would be my only criteria.
Yeah, we would need to literally be a different country without a welfare state to be able to have open borders. I mean, we aren't the EU, even then that's like state to state. That would, so yeah, there's definitely open borders libertarians and then there's closed border libertarians because we believe in property rights. And a lot of times we run into these open border libertarians and they're a little weak on property rights. I'm very fiercely protective of property rights, especially against the government. So this is our property. I think taxation is set. However, we're paying into the system right now. So I want to protect our investment. And that means that we are protecting our borders and we're protecting the farmers and the ranches along those borders and giving the states the ability to protect them. However, it's a really bad situation. It's a humanitarian crisis in a lot of ways that was created by previous administrations. But what do you do about it? I don't have the answers. I think number one, what's not being talked about enough and should be the main focus is how are we going to correct our immigration policy in the first place? Because it's garbage. It's not, This is America. We are a land of immigrants. We've all immigrated here at some point, for the most part. It's supposed to be a welcome, a boiler pot of ideas and cultures, and whether or not we agree if that's a good idea at all, that's a different subject. But that's the intent of the American dream, is that people can come here and start their dream. However, that path has been very, very blocked. The immigration, the ability to immigrate here and start a life is incredibly difficult. It's incredibly tedious. I would love to see something where people that are being kicked out are given like a streamlined process to get their paperwork together in a different country, and show their employment, get an expedited path here. But you're kind of blocked too, because they don't necessarily have guaranteed employment as an American citizen, because then those businesses need to pay a living wage, and they have been getting by on the suffering of these people for a long time by they're illegal. So you're not really accountable. You don't need to give them a living wage. So the entire culture of those industries is impacted. And then it boils down more into American culture and our workforce and, what are the 20-year-old men doing with their jobs? And it just becomes kind of a non-starter for solutions.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, there are a number of things that need to be addressed. I mean, and it has been brought up that, the whole idea is that they opened the borders. The previous administration opened the borders, and 40 million, 20 million, 10 million, doesn't matter. A lot of people came in because they were getting free Social Security numbers, free Medicaid, free Medicare, getting apartments paid for them in communities. And it's like, okay, well, one way to get rid of them is just cut them off. And it's like, okay, here's the $1,000, here's $1,000, leave the country now. Thank you very much. Go away. But they've also floated the idea that if you actually do want to come back with, through the legal method, then leave now and we will try working on expediting a process. If you were somebody that had a good job here, or were doing, useful labor here, or were a part of your community here, then, we would love to have you back if you come in through the front door as opposed to climbing through the back window because somebody paid you to climb through the back window. And then there has been a lot of people that are not here because of asylum. They're not here because their countries were persecuting them. They are here because their government sent them here to create destruction. They've sent like the worst gangs from Venezuela, the worst gangs from Colombia. I mean,
wouldn't you, Marty? I mean, if I'm sitting in Honduras and you got Biden up here saying, send me your weak, your poor, your huddled masses, I'd be unloading all of my insane asylum attendees, all my prisoners.
Empty the jails, empty the prisons. And it's like, it's not give me your huddled masses. This is, hey, we're sending you the worst of the worst. Enjoy. Right. So I mean, there's a couple of prongs to this that need to be addressed, and some of it is and it's an invasion on purpose. A lot of Chinese, a lot of Venezuelans, a lot of Mexican cartel types. And then there's the people that, bought into the whole like, oh, you're going to give me free everything and all I have to do is show up and I get free health care. I mean, I've been talking to some friends of mine in Los Angeles and they're like going, yeah, it used to be we'd go to the hospital and the place would be packed because everybody's using the emergency room. And I drove over here on the 110 freeway and there was like 1/10 of the cars that are normally on the freeway now, because everybody in the LA basin is like, we're going to get kicked out by ICE because there's 30 some odd million people in LA that are not American citizens. So, it's, it's
the optics behind rounding up women and children and men in farm fields is terrible. It's a PR disaster. It's, and obviously those are the news stories that are going to be focused, and like that's what they're going to push, the opposition, because it's heart-wrenching and it looks terrible and it appeals to emotions. But I would think that the administration would try and do a little bit of a better job highlighting the violent criminals that they said that they were going to expedite first. And there was a little bit of that in the beginning, but I feel like that's what Americans really had a thirst for. They're like, yeah, like let's get these guys off the street. We heard all the horror stories. Trump called out the names of the young ladies that were murdered and, and their families. So there obviously was a lot of support for specifically like, let's get that taken care of, and then we'll address the rest of it, which is also a problem. And I do think there's a large element of it is a planned invasion, but I'm not seeing a lot of that. Like I would think that they would want to think about optics and American support. And so really pushing me like, hey, we got this number of gang members out of here, this many violent criminals, all this stuff from other countries. And they're just not countering the other narrative very well at all, which is difficult.
Yeah, and the problem is there's narrative overload. And the thing is there are a lot of criminals and there are a lot of gangs that are being rounded up and kicked out. But you just don't see that much. I follow one of the ICE feeds and the Homeland Security feeds on X, and it's like, and here are the, and then they go through this whole laundry list of all these horrible criminals and all these horrible drug cartel people and all these murders that they kicked out today, and how many tens of thousands they've kicked out since they started doing it. But now the news feed is oh, the flood in Texas, or now the news feed is oh, look at the, and I'm looking at the ones where they're raiding the farm fields, and I'm like going, was that something that was staged for the cameras? Because initially when they went and raided the pot farm, they said, oh, they're raiding a strawberry field, and and look at the children and the women.
Were any of those people being held there against their will? Because we know that that's happened in Southern Oregon and Northern California, where you actually have Chinese people being forced to work on pot farms. And to me, that definitely deserves a raid, and the news. Because, if they're spinning this, oh, these poor farmer migrants, no, they're being held captive.
Yeah,
so
these are child laborers. These are underage children being used as laborers that cannot leave. So golly, it's really bad. They busted that thing up. And one of them, and the guy that owns that farm donated $10,000 to Newsom. So I'm sure he was turning a blind eye. So
Another LaMotta.
I
wonder how young those kids are, because I'm a big advocate of getting the kids out there working as young as possible. My son was roasting coffee at 8 years old. We had him on the roaster. You know what I mean? It's so, and we're gonna do the same with the granddaughter. We're gonna teach her this is how you make money. You know what I mean? And that's the important part, because you learn more one day working than you do a year of school.
That's true. I mean, I'm a fan of child labor in general. But engaging your kids on farms, you shouldn't have. There was a story I heard not too long ago about I don't know who it was, unfortunately, but it was a farm family where they got in trouble for child labor laws for allowing their kids to work the farm. It's like, all right, this is an example of a really broadly applied law that is so general that you're going after people that aren't doing anything bad. Meanwhile, there's children working on weed farms, and the thing about that, I saw the picture that was posted by one of the departments of the children, and I think one of the things that makes it a little difficult for people is that they're 14 at youngest to 17. So people look at them and they're like, those are grown men, they look like, and but the other part too is that they're unaccompanied was the point. And so they're working there with their parents to help support them, because with the inflation and the economy, that's even difficult for a family to support itself at this point. So if your kids want to join in and work, go ahead. But they're unaccompanied was what I understood from it. Which is
you're absolutely correct
someone's on that one. Kids. I think that's what Tom Hammond was saying, that these are someone's kids that is unaccompanied, unaccounted for, and they're here. Who knows what else is happening to them, working for someone else, essentially for slave labor.
So what we would call in New Mexico is the fall harvest. We would head up to Northern California, Southern Oregon, to be clippers. And I personally never did that. But at 14, I had friends who did that. They would hitchhike all the way up here to Southern Oregon just to be clippers for, the pot farmers out here. And they were 13, 14 years old. You know what I mean? It's like they weren't that much different than what we were talking about with the illegal immigrant kids. So but the whole thing is that their parents would also have been pissed off if they would have known. I'm willing today, if I called their parents would still be pissed off. Because I hate Courtney. Did your mom know?
I mean, I went up to Olympia when I was 17 and worked on a gooey duck doing a gooey duck harvesting out in the sound.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, that was weird. But you know, I got paid a fair wage, and there was plenty of people just like me willing to do it, and it was terrible work, absolutely terrible. Do not recommend.
Oh yeah. Let's do silk pulling in a cornfield. That's always fun.
The other thing that I wanted to talk about, because love having libertarians on, talking about the different issues, especially with this president, because like I said, there are a lot of Republicans who dare not shine a bad light on our president. And one of the things now that he is doing that I was kind of upset about was he's now selling weapons to NATO to give to Ukraine. And I'm just thinking, once again, this is promises made, promises not kept. I don't know. I'm one of those who I am vehemently against giving weapons and arms. Giving them is the worst. I mean, if we're going to do it, let's at least sell them and make money off of it. That's the kind of capitalist pig I am. But I'm against that, to arming one side or the other, because you're just creating enemies, and it's not our job. We're not the policemen of the world, and yet here we are acting like that. And even Trump has said we're not the policemen of the world.
But this is an AP article. I mean, come on.
It is an AP article. I'll give you that. Notice the picture they used. Notice the picture.
Yeah.
Angry propaganda, AP. Yeah, we're not doing news here.
So I can't speak for all libertarians, but I would say, for my part, as someone that decided to get behind Trump during this last election cycle, also because Kamala was so horrifying, and the main focus was, we don't want World War III, and that nuclear time bomb clock was ticking, and he made a lot of promises that sounded really good. It was, fantastic. It was a dream come true. However, from the beginning, we knew that he was going to be terrible on foreign policy.
How so?
Maybe to the point where, he promised a lot of things. He said day one, he's going to end the Russia-Ukraine war. Day two, he's going to end any of the conflicts in the Middle East. Which obviously we could debate whether or not that happened and in the way that we wanted it to. But foreign policy, as soon as he started appointing his cabinet members, we knew that this was not going to be a good libertarian foreign policy cabinet whatsoever. The majority of the people he put in there were extremely pro-war, had connections to BlackRock. You had APAC controlled ambassadors to Israel and things like that. So you're like, okay, we're not going to see a lot of like foreign policy accountability whatsoever from this administration, but we're still going to kind of go off of his promises during the campaign. That maybe he'll hold to a little bit of those. We saw Ukraine and Russia negotiations fall through pretty quickly. So this is no surprise. I mean, that sucks. It's bad. It's not. The whole point is that we're, I think, 36, or are we now $37 trillion in debt? Mm-hmm. The majority of that is interest, which is the most mind-blowing part of all of it. Yeah. We can't afford, we're not that country anymore that can bankroll all of the wars of the world. We're not. Right. And our allies certainly are not in a position to do that either, because obviously we're selling weapons to NATO. So it's a disappointment, and it's.
Well, I totally agree with you. I didn't expect, he was making promises that he was never going to be able to keep. There was no way it was going to come through. Those are the types of things we put up with our politicians that we support. We'll just look the other way and no, honey, that dress doesn't make you look fat. No, not at all. And so, we just keep moving on, and because there are so many things we do like about him that we're willing to say, well, at least he's not Lindsey Graham on, you know what I mean? He's not total war hawk, even though, it's like you said, he's putting people in those positions and he's listening to people who are hawkish on these types of things. And I think he should be listening to people like Ron Paul, and I'm still not even sure why the hell Ukraine is a concern of ours. I'm really still don't give a damn if Russia takes over or Ukraine stands their ground. I just don't care. You know what I mean? Maybe I'm a selfish bastard. I don't know. Marty, am I a selfish bastard on this? Because it just ticks me off.
Well, there's some things that I'd like to address, and one of them is, there's a lot of Middle Eastern countries that are signing on to the Abrams Peace Accord that you'd be surprised that they're actually working with Trump to do this. And, and the problem with Pakistan and India, wow, that was going to go nuclear. They're way worse than some of the Middle East countries. And that one was taken care of pretty quickly. And,
okay. I'll give you that was really cool. Whatever he did between Pakistan and India, that was way cool, because I got a buddy who's in Pakistan who helps on the website, and yeah, I don't want to lose him.
Yeah, but I mean,
what did happen with that? Do we have any evidence that Trump did anything between those two countries, and why?
He basically worked out a deal between the two. He went over there and negotiated okay, this is what you guys are going to do. Do you agree with this or not? And so, and then there's other things that are going on. I mean, the whole, what was going on with, Iran, the fact that all that money got put in there because of what Obama was doing. And, they were starting to do, they're still doing like they were doing nuclear enrichment so they could make weapons grade uranium. And it's like, that all that needed to be stopped. And a lot of that there was a lot of back doors with a lot of money going through them that have been cut off now because of USAID going away and a few other odds and ends that are going away. And so part of the Ukraine thing, I think, is they're still trying to figure out exactly where all the money flows are going to. They put in bioweapons labs on purpose. They put in, drugs labs on purpose. This was something that when Obama and Biden and McCain and Newland overthrew the country in 2014, they did it on purpose so they could turn it into a super great money laundering operation.
Yeah,
and sex trafficking and child trafficking and weapons trafficking and all that good stuff. And I think some of this stuff is they keep, if it was, I think if it was up to them, they'd just like, oh yeah, just go ahead and wipe out Ukraine. We don't care. But a lot of it is we're still finding all the threads so we can go after all the people that made all this stuff happen in the first place. So, I mean, like when they're saying, to go on another tangent on that, it's like when they say, oh, the Epstien stuff, let's not concentrate on that anymore because, well, they're trying to track down the 300,000 missing children, and they've got a pretty good line on where most of them are, but they can't say anything about the cases because they're still trying to get all these children out of harm's way. Because if you go after the people while these cases, and they haven't finished these cases, they're just going to go ahead and kill all those kids.
So hold on. I want to play the videos. I got 2 videos for you. And then I'm going
off on a tangent. Sorry.
No, you were great. That was a great rant because
Friday Night Rant for a reason,
You took us exactly where I wanted to go, and I want to play these 2 quick videos for you real quick.
I saw your appearance at CPAC with Ben and with Ted Cruz, and one of the things that you alluded to, and this is something Donald Trump has talked about, the DOJ may be releasing the list of Jeffrey Epstein's clients. Will that really happen?
It's sitting on my desk right now to review. That's been a directive by President Trump. I'm reviewing that. I'm reviewing JFK files, MLK files. That's all in the process of being reviewed because that was done at the directive of the president from all of these agencies.
So have you seen anything that you said, oh my gosh?
Not yet.
Okay. Well, we'll check back with you. Madam Attorney General, Pam, great to spend time with you.
Thank you so much.
So could you resolve whether or not he did? And also, could you say why there was a minute missing from the jailhouse tape on the night of Saturday?
Yeah, sure.
Pam, could I just interrupt for 1 second? Are you still talking about Jeffrey Epstein? This guy's been talked about for years. You're asking, we have Texas, we have this, we have all of the things. And are people still talking about this guy, this creep? That is unbelievable. Do you want to waste the time, and do you feel like answering?
I don't mind answering.
I mean, I can't believe you're asking a question on Epstein at a time like this, where we're having some of the greatest success and also tragedy with what happened in Texas. It just seems like a desecration, but you go ahead.
He did work for intelligence.
It reminds me of my grandfather when, we were reminding of him of what he did when he was drunk. Are we still talking about that? Are we still talking about when I crashed the Delta 88 into the Wilson's house? Really? Are we still talking about that? And totally throw it back at us. And yeah, Pop, go have another drink. And that was totally, come on, man. That was the worst of the worst. Don't look over here. And so there are several things that what you just said could be one thing that's going on. It could be, Marty, that they don't want to have a clients list because some of the people on that clients list is going to be operatives for some of those 3-lettered alphabet soups. And they were using these girls, underage girls, as honeypots to trap foreign leaders, kind of like that English prince they got. And that could have been another reason. There were a couple of other reasons that people had given that I thought were interesting, but what we're being told, that's a bunch of bullshit. And I don't know, Sonja, what did you think when you saw this?
Yeah, there's a lot to unpack there. So one, it's an amazing feeling to be gaslit that hard about. And it's literally the opposite. Like, that's one of his main campaign promises, one of his main things he ran on. That's one of the things that we were supposed to get. Like, obviously we want the JFK files. No one's ever been honest enough to do that or transparent enough. We're asking for transparency. And we're not getting that because we're just getting double talk. We're just getting speech out of both sides of the mouth from all of these people, from Bongino and Patel and Bondi and all these weirdos that honestly I did support Cash quite a bit because I thought he was going to turn the FBI into the Hoover building into a museum, but he hasn't done that, so he's out. But with the Epstein files, it's of utmost importance to his base. It was a promise that was made. It's a question that has not been answered. Ghislaine got indicted and arrested and charged and is in prison for trafficking people to people, including Epstein. And so, and I can make room for the fact that, okay, let's say there's a list and it's thousands of people. And it's thousands of people that maybe rode on the plane or were associated, and maybe they didn't actually do anything. Like, the discovery on that client list is probably so nightmarish. I can understand a hesitation to want to do it correctly. However, that could be communicated. That could be like, we want to do this right. We want to go through discovery. We know you guys want it right now, but it's going to take some time to make sure that innocent people aren't persecuted. Because if you just slap that list down right now, which I would take it, I'm not saying don't do it, but if they slap that list down right now, there's going to be a volatile response, not just in the court of public opinion, but to these people personally. There will probably be a high level of threat to everyone that gets exposed. So I can understand, to avoid massive unrest and disruption in the country, to wanting to roll it out slowly and do it correctly. However, they're not communicating that. They're just gaslighting us, saying they're putting out a bogus video, by the way. I don't know if you just saw the report.
No.
I saw
it. By the way, that's 3 reasons right now we just established. Okay. So this is interesting. So keep going. I'm sorry.
So that video that they said that they reviewed the video, Cash said this, and Bongino, and I do see, like, in the comments, Bongino is pissed. Bongino has, apparently there is some sort of disruption between him and Bondi. That's great. I love that. But they did go on record saying, we reviewed all of the video, the raw video, 17 hours of it, and no one went in there and no one left. He 100% did kill himself. However, there's new reports that came out today. I don't know if it's correct, but I saw it corroborated by a whole bunch of different news outlets that they discovered that the video was edited in Adobe Premiere. It's not the raw version. And there was all of these different, like, there was a whole track record of changes to it, right? So you have like the video.
1 minute is missing. I'm sorry. I mean, what? Well, how does that happen? You know what I mean? Really,
so
seriously.
They told us that he didn't kill himself after everyone saying, no, he did kill himself. And then they said the list is nothing. There is no list. Moving on. And then you have Trump saying something that makes him sound incredibly guilty also. It's not a good look. And I know it's Trump. He just says stuff. And sometimes I love it. I think it's hilarious and awesome. Especially when he dropped the F-bomb about his, trying to negotiate with Iran and Israel. And he said, he don't know what the F they're doing, and I saw some really great like songs, remixes made out of it. It was pretty baller to say that. However, this was a very bad look for him. It's him on the defensive. It's very ugly. So at this point, we feel gaslighted. We just want something, and they're not being transparent at all. They're just telling us to look away.
Wow.
Okay. And then my take on it is that if you don't want the Epstein information, I mean, if you don't want that out of the news cycle, and they've been doing things in the news cycle with all these protests and all these riots and the floods and going ballistic about, the ICE raids. And it's like, so how do you get like all the rhinos, all the Democrats, all the deep state goons, all the TDS people screaming about, we want the Epstein stuff. We want the Epstein stuff, because they've been super, super quiet about this for the last 4 years. They didn't want anybody touching that. They didn't want to even talk about it. They didn't even want to, acknowledge that it existed. And now when these guys come out and say, you know what? We don't have those tapes. They hid some stuff somewhere. Oh, stop talking about it.
So that's what other people were saying, Marty. That was the fourth reason. Yeah, that
now people are going ballistic,
us,
going,
man.
We want the Epstein files. We want it. And it's like everybody's, and it's like somebody was like floating, well, Trump's probably in the Epstein logs. And I'm like, first off, if he was, they wouldn't even had to pay for the whole Steele dossier and Russian collusion BS. That was a lot of money and a lot of effort and a lot of spying against Trump that they could have just, they could have saved all that money by just going, hey, Trump was on the Epstein plane. He's a pedo. Here you go. He's done. And it's like, they didn't do that. So, yeah.
Well,
and I'm not concerned. I'm not certain that Epstein's actually dead, because most of the videos
and
I saw, it's not his.
That was number 5.
That's not his
Epstein's
face.
Epstein's not really dead.
So when they said he's not, when they said he didn't commit suicide, well, you could also interpret that as he's not really dead either. So.
Oh, sure. So then they're not lying, right? It's all that doublespeak. I have a number 6 for you. Whether you like, what's his name? He did Project Veritas, that guy.
Oh yeah, Tom Fitton. Is that Tom Fitton? No, Project.
James.
Go ahead.
James O'Keefe.
Yeah, James O'Keefe.
Yes, sorry. Yeah, I was thinking Judicial Watch. Sorry.
He did get undercover video of someone going up to Bondi at a cafe or a restaurant a while back, saying, hey, what's going on with the Epstein cases? Like, this or that. And I don't know if it was someone she was sitting with and it was recorded, the conversation, or if it was someone came up and asked her. I can't remember. But she said on the video, there's thousands of videos of children being abused.
I remember that.
Where are, like, it's not like we need to see those videos, obviously, but like that sounds like evidence to me. What is that? Who is that? Who's doing that? When are we going to find out about that? And she said it in a way it was directly related to Epstein. So,
yeah,
and he was a Mossad agent, I'm certain, and he was honeypotting people and so forth and so on. But yeah, I mean, the whole thing is who really cares if this guy's alive or dead or not? It's the whole point of he was part of the cogs. He was part of the machine that was using child sex trafficking as a way to take over politicians and take over heads of industry and have all these people under his control. So, whether it was Epstein or whether it was the Rothschild or whether it was, Billy Bob Thornton, even though I don't want to bring up his name, but I mean, it's just whoever it might have been doing this stuff, it's like, who cares? I mean, it's like the whole point is they've been doing this for a very long time, and and it's just it's been hidden. The national media has colluded because, well, they're probably under the thumb as well.
Well, Marty, I hope you're right though in the scenarios we just laid out, and I've been writing them down. We have 5 scenarios of why they could potentially have not said there was a list. And by the way, I know there was a list because I worked in the underworld long enough with drug dealers and pimps and stuff like that. I've known people long enough in that business to know they all got client lists. How the hell do you think they keep track of all the people who owe them money? And you know what? I can prove this. How did they get Capone? They didn't get Capone on murder. They got him because of his client list. Okay, so don't tell me that don't happen. That happens. Yeah. So, and Phil Taylor makes.
Yeah, I've seen the Lolita Express flight logs. I can tell you there is a list, or at least there is a log of people that have flown to St. James Island, and the list of names is actually quite entertaining. I mean, it's just like the Hunter Biden laptop. I've got all that information as well. And yeah, there's a lot of crap on there, but it's like I can't do anything with it other than look at it and go, well, that's just despicable.
Yeah, but that's what I'm saying. You what you said about them not releasing the list because there are people out there they're trying to catch. Of all the scenarios, I truly hope that that's the scenario for them not releasing that list, because that would be the best to have them actually going out there captured. Because if they come back and say, here's a bunch, 300 pedophiles, sex traffickers, here they are. I'm sorry, we had to lie to you about the list and the Epstein thing because we were catching these people. That would be kick ass, wouldn't it?
Yeah.
But I don't know. I'm thinking it's the Mossad. We used underage girls as honeypots and we were trapping people. That's my country, my America, because I just know us deep down inside. Okay. And I hate to be negative, but that's
what the CIA has been doing since it was formed. So why do you expect differently?
They're so good at lying and pushing things under the rug and changing the subject and speaking out of both sides of their mouth. I don't think that they would just outright lie like that when they could just dismiss it or avoid it or whatever. They wouldn't have to come out so strongly. Like, this was a whole PR run to tell everyone nothing to see here. They did that intentionally, which is the craziest part, because if they were hunting down 300,000 missing kids, I understand, like, maybe it's an ongoing investigation, but we still know when there's an ongoing investigation, they just can't tell us the details. If someone's been murdered, you know they've been murdered. But but they tell you, we're going to wait for the details before you tell you more. So it'd be great to know that, and then maybe we would sit back and be like, okay, we're going to try and trust you. But that's been taken from us already.
Phil Taylor says 1 minute of missing Epstein footage, 18 missing minutes of the Nixon tapes, 30,000 missing Clinton emails. I'm noticing a pattern. Me too. I don't know. What a great comment. And Jeff,
what about all the other films from Dallas? I mean, we have the Zapruder film, but what happened to the other people that were filming?
Capone on taxes because of his books. Well, that's what I meant. Client list. They actually broke the code that he used to hide the client's names in his client list, and they busted him because he wasn't paying the taxes on the money he was getting from those clients. And that's how they all have freaking client lists. That's the number one rule of being a criminal, man. It was when they were saying that, people aren't going to keep client lists, and I'm thinking, yeah, they do. That's kind of like when you guys said, don't wear a mask. And then a week later, it was wear 2 masks. I mean, it was like, come on, man.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, when you have that much garbage on people, you want it for leverage. Obviously, why would you avoid that? Especially when you're powerful. Yeah, no kidding. So talking about Trump, and we have high hopes for him. And this was such a downer, and like I said, there's so many reasons, we're not getting
And that's the worst part, is that we just came up with 5 reasons, 5 different scenarios. There could be other scenarios, and we're not even touching on the right one. You know what I mean? Because that's how government works. Nothing is as it appears to be. And so we may never know. We may know 10 years down the road. Who knows? But I'm having a problem with Trump on this. But the one thing that we were talking about is him cleaning the deep state. I was always mad when he didn't fire Fauci. I was so pissed off. And if you look back at Fauci's history, not even if you go into the gain of function money that he was giving away, but you go all the way back to the mid 80s and what he was doing with the AIDS program and stuff, and how he capitalized on that. You could tell this guy was just not a good guy. He didn't have people's best interest at heart. And we always wondered why Trump didn't fire him. And Trump said he didn't have the authority to fire him. Well, just, I believe it was this week. Let me see if I can get this there. The Supreme Court allows Trump administration to implement plans to significantly reduce the federal workforce, meaning he can shit can all of them if he wants. If he truly wants to go after the deep state, he can do it now.
Yeah, it sounds great.
Yeah, I'm all in favor of that. I mean, the thing is it's interesting where all these judges, like 600 and some odd judges, are like going, it's not even in my jurisdiction, but I'm going to say that Trump can't do this. And it's like, hold on, you're not that high up on the ladder, bub. And then they have to go to the Supreme Court and say, this guy can't have an injunction against Trump's orders. So finally, the Supreme Court's going, all right, enough of this stuff. And some judges are still trying to do it. And I'm like, At what point do you start slapping these judges down and going, and you're off the bench? See you later.
I didn't like that when you would have a conservative judge do that to a Democrat president for the exact same reasons. That I don't think that these district judges should have this type of authority. There should be a panel of judges, or it should go to it should rise up to the circuit court. And so that I don't understand why these lower district courts are allowed to stop an entire presidential process when it's going on.
They're not actually, but they're trying.
But you know what ticks me off is that we've got the Republicans in charge of both the Senate and the House, and the president is spitting out all these executive orders. Everyone used to bitch when any other president put out executive orders, but now that we got Trump doing it, oh, this is great, this is great. But all of those orders are going to go away as soon as another administration comes in. And Sonja, you hit on it. We've got a lousy immigration policy, and it could be fixed if the legislature would actually fix the process, and they're not going to. You can see the way they are now. They're probably going to lose in the midterm, so they're not going to have control of one or both of the houses. So
they don't want to fix it. They don't want to fix it. It's a way to get elected. If there was any time to push through real immigration reform, not just protecting the border, because that's a different thing. Actual immigration reform would be now. They're not doing it, which means it's an election tactic. Yeah.
And it just makes me mad because the next guy who gets in there, if it isn't Vance, it's a Democrat, is just going to reverse every single one of the things that Trump has done. And so I'm hoping that maybe with this administrative plan, maybe he can actually get rid of some of these people. That would be beautiful.
I'm trying to remember when it was, but I think it was during like the Doge raids that were fantastic, and it was really fun to watch everyone freak out. Like that was exciting. That was very exciting when they were raiding USAID and the Department of Education and all these different things. That was everything I wanted to see. But there was some articles going out about the realty map of DC started exploding at one point during this, where all the government workers there started like listing their houses, or like there was like a lot of movement on the realtor scale. And I thought that was really interesting because it showed that like people were uncertain if they were going to have a job, because the promise was that they were not going to have a job, that we were going to significantly cut the federal government.
I watched people, we had rallies here in Coos Bay and in Bandon both. And remember, 60% of the electorate here voted for Donald Trump in our county. But yet we've been having these big protests, and they're protesting the layoffs of these federal workers. And like you said, for libertarians like us, we enjoy it when they come out and the federal employee is crying, like, you know, and they're all upset because they're losing their job. And you're like, oh, baby, suck it up, man. You know what I mean? How many people just lost their job in the private sector? You know what I mean? How many people did a business have to lay off because they had to tighten their belts? You know, as someone who's a private business owner,
how big of an employer is the state of Oregon? How big of an employer is the state of Oregon? Right. They're the third biggest employer in the state, and all the rest of us who are running private businesses have to deal with the fact that they've put us through all this turmoil, tax-wise, regulation-wise, all this other garbage, and had to fire people and had to close businesses because of mandates. And now they're like expecting us to feel sorry for the fact that a whole bunch of useless bureaucrats are going to be shown the curb. I'm like, wow, you're not going to catch me crying one bit about this at all.
Yeah, they really tried to pull the heartstrings with the national forest, like the Park Service and stuff. And I had people sharing like personal stories with family members they knew that were uncertain about their job. And I said, let the state hire them. How about we get rid of the federal side of things? Because in my view, the federal is far extended from where it was supposed to be in the first place. These lands belong to the states for the states to manage. Maybe you should be asking your state to hire you and your state to actually have a good forestry department that can handle it and just absorb all of these workers. That would actually be better for everyone, because then your state taxes are going directly to manage your state forests.
I would much rather see the state or in my opinion, the county at least manage these lands. We got over 17,000 county forest lands here in Coos County, and they're managed better than the state or the federal lands. And it's because, well, we're very particular. We need the money. We're very protective of them. And, you know, we don't want that stuff going and burning up. And so we take good care of that stuff. And that's why I believe if you want people to take care of the lands, well, then make the people who live the closest to those lands the ones who are responsible for them, because they're the ones who have to live there. And that's, you know, that only works in a capitalist society, right?
And I will give the disclaimer that being in Oregon, we have a different relationship with forests, I think, than a lot of the country because of the timber industry, because we can see the difference between like a poorly managed government-owned forest and a well-managed like timber forest or private forest. So I can't necessarily, it's a very hot button issue right now. So I can't necessarily identify with everyone's feelings like across the country, because it's different in every state.
That is true.
Well, having gone to the DMV, I can tell you that 9 out of 10 employees at the DMV are actually, if they weren't there, who would miss them? I mean, I went and got my license renewed during the height of the pandemic, when you had to make an appointment. There could only be one person in the room besides the DMV employee. And, you know, but they had like 10 people standing behind the counter that were just basically talking to each other about their favorite soap operas. And I was like going, okay, so I'm sitting in the middle of the room taking a test, and then you're going to take my picture. And it took you an hour to do that, to get my license renewed. And I'm like, so much of this really doesn't need to be here. I mean, and it's
no.
Do you want the DMV running? Do you want everything running like the DMV?
And these are the people that are injecting people into our voter rolls, and I'm going, oh, I'm sure nothing could go wrong there.
I'm one of those who I don't even think we need a DMV. So let's just
I think registration's garbage. I mean, during COVID, I just let my registration lapse for like 4 years. I finally got a ticket the other day, so you know everything's up to date now.
There you go.
It was a lot of money, I'll tell you that, because they stopped. And also, it was like, I'm not going in there. Like, one, I had to mask up, and it's garbage, it's full of like crazy people, and it's just like it's like a bad experience. I was like, I'll take the hit, and I did, and it was worth it.
Oh, good. And that's that. Yeah, I totally agree with you. I'm pretty much the same way with seatbelt laws. I hate the seatbelt laws so much that I'm willing to take the hit at this point. And it's I haven't had too much of a problem. Are you you ran for office? I endorsed you. I thought you had a really good chance. And I think that if you didn't have an independent in that race, you would have got his votes. I think you really would have got his votes and done much better, but he was an interesting candidate, and he ran a good game. So
he had a surprisingly, I talked with him after the election. I was like, what did you do? Like, you ran, like, you got a wild percentage of the vote. What did you do? And how did you get the independent party's sign off on you as a candidate? Because he was very aligned with the libertarian policy in general. And independents are typically controlled, it's utilized by the Democrats to hurt Republicans.
Right.
And so obviously they let him through, but usually they're more left leaning. He was not at all. And he said he just ran a really aggressive ground campaign. It was basically just him. And he was going out and he was talking to people. And that is definitely a part of my campaign. Was kind of an experiment at the same time, being like, how much can you run your campaign digitally? Apparently it's not very well at all. Good to know. But also in Oregon, right now, Libertarian Party of Oregon is rebuilding its volunteer base. When you have years of volunteers that are dedicated, you end up burning them out. And so you have to have a good aggressive strategy to bring more people in. So we were kind of like in the middle of like burnout and bringing people in at the moment. And so if I was going to redo it in the future, which I'm not really interested in, but if I was going to help consult with someone in the future to run, I would definitely emphasize the importance of
not to.
So why don't you want to run? Was it just too much of a grind the first time?
No, actually, it really wasn't that bad. I rather enjoyed it. I just don't need to. I kind of did it because I am in District 5 and it was a really important cause, and DeRimmer is the worst.
Right.
So, I mean, I guess if someone needed me to jump in somewhere, I'm always willing to play the game. I got quite a bit of heat for me being an agorist running in politics.
I know.
But it actually wasn't that bad. It was a fun negotiation because, your ideas can't stay in a bubble. And if I'm only ever talking to other agorists, no one's ever going to get the message. So yeah, I'm going to set down this portion of my principles for a moment so that I can go leverage them for a greater purpose. And that's what I did in running for office. I don't know if I need to. I think there's a bunch of really great potential for candidates in the future, and I would love to support them with the experience that I have now. And I think that they could do a really good job.
I think we need more behind the scene people to help those people who are running. And it's those people who really keep the glue together, because you're up there, you're in front of the camera, you're you know what I mean? You're the one who's the face of the campaign. You kind of need someone to keep those details flowing behind you.
You need a good face for the campaign, but you also need a really good back end.
Yeah.
It's all about the team. I just did Freedom Fest in Palm Springs. I was the volunteer coordinator. Yeah, I was a volunteer coordinator for Freedom Fest. So I had a team of 40 volunteers. A lot of them were offered up by Mises, and then a lot of them were through Freedom Fest and then locals in the area. A beautiful event, wonderful event, awesome team to work with. But it really...
Who was that? Who was putting that on, Freedom Fest? I hear about it every year, and I can't remember who does that.
So it's I'm going to get it wrong because it was such a fog of just insane, intense work the entire time. But it was the Durhams. I'm going to get it right. I hope they don't see this. They'll be offended. Marty. The Durhams. So the Durhams are they've been very supportive of the Libertarian Party for a long time. One of their, or not the Durhams, the Skousen. So the Skousen family in California has been instrumental in a lot of libertarian views, principles, getting that out in the business world. They've been very effective in all of that. They're very well known, the Skousen family in California. So they started putting on Freedom Fest I think this was the 10-year anniversary for the event. It was my first Freedom Fest, which is why I'm not like super wise on the background of it. But they put together a beautiful team. And they're all family for the most part. I came in as a volunteer coordinator, and it just really impressed upon me how integral having a really tight volunteer core is to make anything happen. And I was blessed to have like the best volunteers ever. And it was a really great event.
Yeah. And that's we will have to build that ground game again here in Coos County. We had it at one time, like I said, with the disenfranchisement and the infighting. We're just nobody wants to help anyone else out. And
our recruitment strategy right now is if you don't agree with me, then screw you.
Yeah.
And I'm like, wow, if this is the recruitment, I wonder what it's like when they want to kick you out of the party. And then we found out in Douglas County how that worked. So okay.
Yeah, there were actually people kicked out of the Douglas party. Do you know Michaela Hammerson and Ben Edel?
I do know Ben Edel very well. I'm not very familiar with Michaela. I was the political action director for Free Oregon with Ben Edel during the height of COVID. So that was kind of one of my stepping stones to where I am now with my political activism.
He's doing the End Vote by Mail initiative. Have you heard of this?
I have.
And we are really pushing that here in Coos County. We've got a fair booth, and I'm excited about that. Yeah, so we're going to be right next to the Republicans because the Republicans, they refuse. They don't like Ben Edel, so they refuse to carry his petition. So we're going to carry the petition and flip them off as they're sitting over there.
Man. I love that.
It's gonna be 5 whole days of flipping off Republicans right next to me. It's gonna be a fun time. I can hardly wait.
That's excellent. No, I love what he's trying to do. I just saw his video with Scott Pressler. That was huge to get Scott Pressler's kind of endorsement for that over video. I think there's a huge hunger for that in Oregon to fix that problem. So I think he's on the right track with that for sure.
Yeah, I think so too. So much so that we're going to put in a lot of time and effort into it here in our county and be pushing it in the area, in our area.
And I got the usual suspects in Curry County already lining up to help out. So
nice. Nice.
Yeah. Right now, the only people I'm having problems with are people that are in my my other group, my Cause of America / Dr. Frank people. I'm getting a lot of blowback, and I'm like, wow, okay. I realize, we both want clean elections, and we should be able to work together. This should not be a competing cause thing. This should be, we should all work together to do this. Yes, NVBM is we need 150,000 signatures, and the other one is we need all this information about suspect voting and illegal voting and bad laws and bad clerks so that we can present our case. And I'm like, yeah, but these things, there's a lot of overlap here.
They intersect. They totally intersect.
There's a huge Venn diagram going on where these two intersect quite well. And I'm like, wow, I'm taking some heat on it. I'm just like, well, tell you what.
So the state Republican Party, they have officially said no to the initiative petition as well. And this is the type of thing that could get people involved with the Republican Party. And when I was in the party, over 5 years ago, because I wasn't a party member at the time, the last 5 years. But when I was in the Republican Party, we always did all the signature petitions if they were good, if they were conservative issues. And it makes me mad that we are now not working together. This is how fractionalized the party has become. And I'm glad there's libertarians like you guys over there pushing, because you're helping us. You're helping those of us in the Republican Party push this party to the right, and I don't know how much we appreciate that.
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely coming from individual libertarians. I will say that it's not a policy of Libertarian Party of Oregon at the moment. But for me personally, because I've worked with Ben, I support it. And I understand the importance of it, obviously. Like, let's address that and then see what we're working with. That's like the first step.
Yeah, and the biggest part of this whole campaign is, and I'm not naive enough to believe that we're going to get something on the ballot that's going to fix how corrupt the ballot, the vote by. We're going to end vote by mail by putting it on a ballot where we're voting by mail.
You still haven't fixed the voter roll.
Yeah, we haven't fixed the underlying problem that makes voting by mail so very, very, very corrupt. But what it does is it raises public awareness, and we have so much enthusiasm. People are like, have been beat down for so long. They're like, there's nothing we can do. And then we go, well, but we can send a message, sign your name here. And if we get 150,000 signatures, and I think that's going to be a cakewalk, to be honest with you. But
it's tangible. It's a tangible.
Yeah, it's tangible. And it's something where it's like, I am actually making a difference. I'm putting my name on this. I agree with this whole idea that something needs to change. Now, whether it's actually going to affect the change and change the Constitution of the state of Oregon, I'm let's just say I'm super not optimistic about it, but I'm not pessimistic. I'm just saying it's like a snowball's chance in hell kind of thing. But the whole point is the enthusiasm behind the you get all these people that are like going, I thought we were like in the wilderness and we could never come back. And I'm like going, there is a light at the end of the tunnel. We've got multiple prongs going on here, and end vote by mail is one of them. And we have a couple other things that are going on, and we've got some EOs coming out, and we've got some other things. And it's like, now is the time to get enthused. Now is the time to volunteer. Now is the time to get involved and, you sign, get your neighbor to sign, get all your friends to sign. At your sewing circle, get everybody to sign. At your golf club, get everybody to sign. At your local bar, if they can stand upright, get them to sign, whatever.
So there is another petition out there, and I'm going to have an interview played on Monday with the gentleman, Sean Dean Sir, who's running IP 31, which is the vote before tolls, meaning we get to vote before they do tolling. And that was one that came up, and it was another one that I thought was a great idea. Have you heard of that one? What did you think? You kind of giggled there.
I have heard of that, and I do like that. I know it's been going on in Clackamas County with 205 toll they've been doing. I haven't attended any of the hearings, but we have some other libertarians I work with that have been very on point, going to those meetings and finding out what they're doing without any oversight or anyone's input. Really, they're just kind of pushing forward with it no matter what. And as far as tolls go, I think that they could be a very strategically intelligent way for people to engage in paying for county or state services if it's made a voluntary acceptance through voting, right? But the way that they typically do it is they just bulldoze their way through, and there's no concessions made. So, if the county's like, hey, we want to put a toll in here on this part, we want you guys to vote for it, and the money for this toll is going to specifically go to this places, and then maybe like the state tax is going to go down a little bit, like some sort of negotiation, right? I could be for that. Like, that makes sense. I'm into investing in my local community. I don't really mind that. My main issue with taxation is when it's involuntary, right? So I love the idea of the initiative petition.
What do you think, Marty?
Yeah, it was buried in remember the trip bill that they were trying to get pushed at the very end of the session? And Tina was all PO'd because it didn't get through and there wasn't $14 billion in new taxes or whatever. Buried on page like 98 of that was, oh, and by the way, we're putting tolls on 205 and I-5 and this and this and this and this. And they just buried it in there. And I'm like, yeah, that's the kind of crap I don't like putting up with. I mean, if you say, oh, you're going to have to pay a toll to get across this bridge because that's how we're going to have to maintain this bridge. And if you think it's a great idea and you think we're going to be transparent about it, then you can go ahead and vote on it. And I'd be fine with that. But when they try to bury it on page 98 of some freaking $14 billion bill, I'm like, no, not in the least. So if there's a vote before tolls thing, then yeah, I'm behind that as well. I mean, that's a good idea.
I talked to Dean, and I told him as a libertarian I would normally support toll roads if they were new roads, if they were actually new roads that were created, not roads that we have already paid for several times over and that we're going to continue to pay for. And on top of that, you're going to toll us. Hell no. And I think we should get a vote on that. Definitely we should get a vote on that. But I would support, because I think we get taken advantage of in rural Oregon. I would support like a tourist toll at the beginning and end of Coos County. If we could, get all those tourist dollars. We just toll you as you come in, and I know people are thinking that might be wild, but the Coos Bay Wagon Road, the original road that came into this county, was a toll road, and every wagon, every settler, every man, woman, child, and beast would be tolled across that road. And so it's not something that wasn't actually used at some point in time. And the roads are usually better. I took a toll road in Texas, and they are a little expensive, but boy, I could get around much faster than on the regular highway. But they did it by building new roads that they tolled, and people were okay if they're new roads, we don't mind paying for them. So
yeah, I do this in Los Angeles all the time. I mean, they built new roads for basically high occupancy, so multiple people in a car or buses, and they go like on a separate raised road that's above the normal freeways, so they put them in. And then if you as a individual driver want to drive on these roads, you can get your little plastic box and you can pay a specific fee to use this road. So it is a toll road, and it is a new toll road. But if you have 3 people in your car, well, then you get a better rate. If you're just driving by yourself, you have to pay more. But when the traffic on the lower freeway is doing 10 miles an hour and you're doing 55, you're going, that was worth an extra $6 or whatever it was. And so you get immediate feedback in that, yes, this is not a road I've already paid for. And 2, I'm seeing some definite benefits from doing this. I'm racing along while everybody else is crawling along. So, yeah.
I mean, I have to pay park permits to go and hike in federal national forests, right? So if someone wants to visit your quaint little town and go on your like sweet little scenic areas, they could pay a toll too. Like I don't see if it's benefiting your community, that doesn't sound too bad to me. If it's voted on.
If it's voted on. Yeah, I agree. This cracked me up because I have no faith in government to do a damn thing, and so that's why I don't think they could do a toll road success. I could see the government losing money with a toll road. They would lose money owning a whorehouse, and they actually did. So I could see them losing money at this. And so they've got a special session that Tina Kotek wants to call up because she wants to get that transportation bill passed. She wants that money because she's whining and crying. They're going to lay off, I think they said 500 workers out of ODOT. Yeah, you look at the workers they're going to lay off. Well, they're always the workers who are doing the digging, the work, the actual maintenance of the road. They're not going to lay off any of the white the guys with the white shirts and the red ties. Those guys will stay. It's all the guys with the yellow vest who are going to go.
What about the $30 million they spent for DEI? So you know how far $30 million would go? You'd fill a lot of potholes for 30 mil as opposed to, well, that pothole needs to have the right adverb. Is it a they, them pothole,
Also, watch out. Each of those toll booths is going to cost like $30 million to build, by the way.
Oh, yeah.
And that was the other thing. Yeah. How are they going to toll it? Because the ones in Texas, they didn't even need booths. And it was weird. I was driving because I thought I was stealing because they said you were going to be charged. And sure as shit, they sent me a letter to my house here from Texas. They read my driver's license and they sent me a bill, and I paid it right away. But I was wondering how they do that. But that's how they do the toll roads now.
Yeah,
they don't.
You don't need toll takers anymore.
Like I feel like we should have to suffer a little bit and like talk to a person. Like I'm not really into like cameras taking pictures of my car or whatever. But I understand.
Yeah,
but at the same time, who really wants to be a toll taker? I mean, like, what a standing by cars rushing by you all day long while people are like going, I hate toll takers.
How many fingers? Yeah, how many fingers did you count today?
But I mean, there are certain bridges going in and out of San Francisco where they just have like scanners that you drive under, and it's like, if you already have your car registered with the I pay tolls thing or whatever I forget what it's called, but it's something like that. And so they just automatically ding you, and it's like, yeah, okay, here's your $6 for crossing the bridge. And if you don't have one of your cars registered and you drive past it, they'll like go, oh, by the way, you drove by in a car that isn't registered, but we know your other car is. So we'll just go ahead and put it on that car's bill.
Oh, that's sneaky.
Well, but I mean, I'm like going, hey, it's much better than having to actually go online and say, I need to add all my cars and all my license plates. It's just like, okay, I got the one. And also, it'd be kind of nice if somebody stole my car. They could go, oh, by the way, we saw it go across this bridge at this time.
Yeah, you're like
would have been nice if you could have stopped them and given it back to me, but okay.
I'm going to call off camera really quick and then be right back.
You got it.
And now we're on our own. Oh, no.
Now we're on our own.
Well, we do.
Well, I was going to talk about this Taxpayers Association of Oregon article.
Okay.
I love the name of this guy in this article. His name is Bob Ortblad. Hi, I'm Bob Ortblad. I'm sorry you can get that fixed there, Bob. I'm sure.
Yeah.
There's doctors for that.
I know a urologist that can fix that in pretty quick order there.
Bob Ortblad. So he is a retired civil engineer and University of Washington master's degree scholar, explained on KATU TV News. He has a quote here. It says, the Interstate Bridge Replacement, the IBR, program's financial projections are overly optimistic and fail to account for a looming $1 billion, that's billion with a B, folks, shortfall, with costs likely to hit $9.4 billion by 2025 and limited state and federal funding. Tolls could soar to an unsustainable $20 per crossing, placing a heavy burden on commuters. $20.
Yeah, that's just outrageous. And then the whole problem is that, back in the day, it used to be like, well, there's a $1 million or $2 million overrun, and we'd all go, gasp, that's horrible. And now it seems like everything starts with a B. It's
B, like, $1 billion.
It's just a $1 billion overrun. It's like it's not like it's a big deal, man. It's only $1 billion overrun. I mean, what are you worrying about?
And so we were reading this article where Bob Ortblad was quoted for saying that this project, the Interstate Bridge Replacement, is going to be looming $1 billion shortfall. And of course, by likely to hit $9.4 billion by 2025, which it is 2025. So
yeah,
nice. What is it going to cost 2 years from now when it's still not built? I mean, these people, like you said.
How's that California high-speed rail working out for them?
Right.
I mean,
what are they, like 123 billion in the hole now?
The government inefficiency is so rampant. And a lot of people don't know about the way the checks get cut for all of these different groups and nonprofits that are handling these federal funds that they get, or they contract out to build a bridge, right? And maybe the bridge only actually costs like $2 million, $3 million to build. I might be totally off, but like a lower amount. But it ends up getting bidded out for like $50, $60 million because the federal government will pay it, right? When my husband and I moved to Portland in late 2019, we were in an apartment. We were waiting for our house. And when it was time to move, we had like made a friend with a lady through a car sale, and she worked for a nonprofit. And she said, "Hey, do you need rental assistance with your new house?" And we're like, "Oh, we're okay." And she was like, "I have so much money that I need to unload. It's from the federal government. They gave us all these grants. And if we don't spend all of this money, then they won't give us this money again." And so she was like pressuring us to take all this money, totally illegitimate too. We're like, well, we don't really fit that bracket, that finance bracket to approve for that. And she's like, "No, it's all good. Don't worry about it." And I was like, "Whoa, wow. Like that's corrupt, and because they are motivated to get that much money. So when something says it's going to cost $1 billion, no, it doesn't. It doesn't cost $1 billion to do that. That's just pork, and that's your tax dollars going to nothing.
Yep. That's completely. I want to thank you for joining us. This has been a wonderful evening. I do got good news for you guys. I don't know if you heard about this. They have found an asteroid made of gold. I don't know if you've heard of this.
Is that the Rob Taylor asteroid that starts the show?
I thought that was the good news, was that we were about to be taken out by an asteroid.
No.
But we're going to be taken out by an asteroid made of gold. It makes so much more difference. Good news, everyone. You're going to get crushed by a big asteroid of gold.
And so that was going to be my play on this is, yes, they have discovered an asteroid of gold. And of course, unfortunately, it is falling to Earth.
Yeah, somebody
No,
said,
they actually did find this, and they're looking at mining this. There was another one that they found that was made of diamond. The entire body of the meteorite was made of diamond, and so that means all of that stuff we've been saving in our closet, silver, gold, diamonds, and all this stuff, really are just rocks, shiny little rocks, and we're just furry little animals.
Yeah,
think about
and you do.
Space race. If there was anything that was going to get us like crazy advanced spaceships of the future that we're already supposed to have according to Hollywood, it would be that rock. Like who gets to claim that rock? Whoever's there first.
Right. I don't.
We should let Elon come back.
Yeah.
That's a damn good question. Who gets that? In what is international space rules? Because I know there are international water rules. If you find a vessel or something like that, that would be interesting. I don't know what the rules are. Someone call Trump up. I bet you he would know. He would know, and he'd have a great answer.
What was the name of that show with the marionettes where it was like
America, Team America?
Yeah, but I mean, it was based on another one that was an England one where it was like the International Space Force, and the marionettes were like, we're going to save the universe, and it's like, so we need to call those guys up, International Space Force, and get them out there to get that gold. Because you realize, though, if they do go out and get that full asteroid of gold, like every person in the world could have like 15 pounds of this gold, which means now gold is completely worthless because it's a commodity that's similar to, drinking water. Or probably even more,
When the Spaniards went to the new colonies, and I can't remember if it was the Mayans or the Aztecs, when they brought back all of the gold and the silver, it destroyed like half of the gold market, 30% of the silver market. I mean, it was just gone, and your silver was worth a lot less for enslaving those damn Indians. You know what I mean? It's like those poor people, they paid a price for it. It's
everybody's going to be up in arms when we send all the illegal aliens out to the asteroid to mine it, because we're only going to pay them like $8 an hour or so.
Yeah.
That's what we're going to do with them. We're not going to deport them to a different country. We're going to send them to the gold space rock.
We're sending you to the moon.
I like this, the gold space rock. Yeah, it's amazing how things could just really, you know what I mean? We don't know what the future holds. And, we could be frozen and come back alive 100 years from now. And, we thinking, oh, I'm going to get those old gold coins from the chest. They're going to be worth a lot. And everyone's, oh, no, we got those, Grandpa. Look, everyone's got gold, old man.
Yeah.
And
it's reconsidering all those gold backs I just got.
I'm seriously worried about the gold in my chest devaluing. That'll be a whole dollars something worth.
Yeah.
3H Tree Service. I've just stopped calling these people my sponsor anymore because they get so attacked. I feel sorry for them. We support local business, and this is support our local business moment right now. I mean, we had Sal Carruthers. Sal Carruthers was boycotting them, which since it was Sal Carruthers and he's a sex offender, it actually garnered more people going to them and getting their service. So it was
3H Tree Service, as not endorsed by Sal Carruthers. 3H Tree Service, not
and they're not my
endorsed by Sal
sponsors.
Carruthers.
Not my sponsors, Sal. They're not my sponsors. We're just promoting them as a business because they kick so much ass. They're 3H. Well, I don't even have to say much. I got a video. I've got videos. Yes. 3H Tree Service. And, I don't know if you saw that video of them laying down that tree between those two sheds. Did you see that?
Oh, yeah. No, I saw that one.
Incredible.
I was just like, yeah, I was like, I've seen some. My neighbor came by and took down a tree for me. And I was just like, oh, well, where do you want to, he said, where do you want me to put it? And I said, oh, just over there. And he was like, oh, I'll just put it between these two things then. I was like, you can do that? And he's like, 3 minutes later, it was like, whomp. And I'm like, that's pretty impressive, because it was like, I don't know, 3.5, 4 feet around. So if that gotten out of control, well, I would have had a pancake instead of a house. So.
Uh-oh, we lost Sonja.
Uh-oh.
Where did Sonja go?
She was looking down at something and then disappeared. Uh-oh.
Oh, no.
Maybe she was attacked by Sal Carruthers. Nah,
maybe, he is. I'm gonna.
He is everywhere, and he's really responsible for everything that goes wrong in the world.
Yes, he is. I blame him for everything, but I'm also supporting him for Coos County Commissioner. I don't know why.
Oh, I know. Yeah. And what was the other candidate that we're supporting?
The other guy, the other rapist, Henry Delaney. Yes, the rapist, Henry Delaney, and of course the other pedophile, Curtis Buell from SWAC. We're supporting him for governor. We're just going to run sex offenders.
Oh, nice.
For our politician. Why wait for them to commit offenses in office when we can already send people who've committed these types of sexual violations? I mean, why wait? We'll just this.
Yeah. I mean, we're front loading it at this point. I mean, why wait? Why wait to find it out on the back end when we can just put it right up front, get it right in there right away?
We don't have to go through Clinton anymore. You know what I mean? We now can just put people like Sal Carruthers, we know is a registered sex offender, Henry Delaney. We'll just put them into office, and we already know that they're sex offenders, and so we'll be okay with that.
Curtis Bueller's Day Off. Yeah.
Curtis Bueller's Day Off. I love that. That's the rated X version of Ferris Bueller's Day Off. It's Curtis Bueller's Day Off. Where he,
instead of Save Bueller, it'll be Save the Children from Bueller. Right. But anyway, same diff.
He comes home and instead of going to school and finds the underage babysitter, and we'll just leave it at that. Yeah, it's and And so, and I'm sorry, I don't mean to make light of that, because that's very sick and offensive. And I feel sorry for his victims. And those are the people we really should be thinking about.
Yeah.
It's, oh, here Pete says Curtis Buell. It's not Bueller. Oh, that's funny. It is Buell, right? Curtis Buell day off. Yeah. Curtis Buell's day off, not Bueller's,
Yeah.
but it's the same, yeah, same thing. Yeah, I think it works. It works quite well. It's okay. This was a 3H tree service commercial, because I
and
like
now
to
back to your regularly scheduled ad. Yeah.
And now back to my regularly scheduled ad. I think this is going to, oh, wait a minute. I got a message from Sonja. She says, apparently the Wi-Fi automatically gets turned off at 10 p.m. on the farm now. And I just found out, are you going any much longer? Because I should be able to fix it. Yeah, we're about off.
We're pretty much done anyway. We're going through the support, the people that we support and the people that support us. But
yes,
anyway, so who else do we got on the list here? Because isn't there a Tom and Gigs in there somewhere?
Well, hold on. We got to show some of the winners of Where's 3H Service.
Oh, good point. Now, did you do that on Monday? The Where's 3H?
No, something happened on Monday. He was when he's out of town, he's way out of town. He doesn't do that.
Yeah.
Let me tell her we'll get you back on. You back on some other time. There you go. All right. So thank you, Sonja, for being on. We're going off, so I won't make you sit through the commercials. Some people like sitting through the commercials. That's why I enjoy doing this. It's like, because, Matt Holman here, he's a good buddy of mine, and he does good things for the community. So I like to promote that. But so does Tim. I saw Tim just recently. I was over there talking with him, and he's got a new guy helping him out in the shop. That's always important, because he's getting older. He's getting older, and it's getting hard to wrench on an engine like he used to. And so it's good to have these young guys there to help him out. But it's hard to get mechanics. It's hard to pay for the mechanics. These guys are expensive, especially the ones who know what they're doing. And these guys know what they're doing. That's what he does. He hires really good people in his auto shop. So it's very difficult to find good people and to keep good people. You there?
Oh yeah, and they fix cars, and they have RC cars as well. I'm waiting for the next slide. They're in Empire.
Oh, wait a minute. I forgot to say they're at 135 South Shonen Street in the Empire neighborhood, right behind the car wash. And if you know where the car wash is, then you know Empire neighborhood. Wait a minute, I said that backwards. If you know where the Empire neighborhood, you know where the car wash is. There you go. And so they sell more than I was there, and then I forgot to take pictures because they got a whole bunch of new stuff.
Uh-oh.
And they have these like little they had littler RC cars that were really cool. And I'm going to have to go.
Go back and get some more pictures. Yeah.
No, call Josh. Josh will send me some pictures. He's one of the workers over there. He's been there forever, and that's one of the guys who works behind the counter. Knows all about those cars. Great stuff. All the equipment, all the little parts that you need for those cars. He's got some cool stuff, and he's got planes, and he's got a whole bunch of those planes right now.
Oh, nice.
And he's got the Herocopter. Those are really cool. I agree with Chris. I'm going to start flying that around my neighborhood and see how many people I can freak out. Oh my God, it's the cops.
Yeah. Let's fly it around at near homeless encampments and go. The police are showing up, and but it looks like they're pretty far away. So I have time to pack.
I'll get my megaphone. I got one of those megaphones, and they make a siren sound, and then I can get on the megaphone. We can see you from the helicopter. We're coming in. We're loaded for bear. I don't know what that means.
We're coming in with the helicopter. Please.
We're coming in.
Yeah, got it.
We could do that while we're flying the plane.
The RC. Yeah.
I mean the police helicopter.
The RC police helicopter. Yeah.
I like that. I think I'm going to get me one of those. That's interesting stuff there. And of course, they got tannerite because, if you sell police helicopters, you automatically have to sell tannerite. I know I did back in the day. But now you can go to Tommy Giggs and get your tannerite because he's the tannerite supply man. That's right. And pick up your RC car, get your regular car lined because, you've been out on the dirt roads to take your RC car out for a ride. And now, this is where you're at with the tannerite. Oh, Conspiratard is checking in, the Airport Hype Militia. I always feel better when the Airport Hype Militia checks in. And, of course, he checks in when we're talking about tannerite. Coincidence?
There you go.
I don't know. I'll let the audience decide. But do remember, you have to be 18. Remember, 18 to purchase tannerite. Yeah.
21 to do anything else, but 18 for tannerite.
21 to do anything else, but 18 to buy tannerite.
And 6 years old to decide whether you want to have a new sex change, but let's not go there.
I know. I don't know. You can get your weenie cut off at 6 years old, but you can't smoke dope to forget about it. I think there's something, not that I want 6-year-olds to smoke dope. I just don't want them to be able to decide to get their weenie to cut off. You know what I mean? That's
so
Herbal
Choices in 5 convenient locations. You must be 21 years or older to go to Herbal Choices, and tell them more.
Well, you can get your Herbal Choices at Charleston, Coos Bay, Bandon, Reedsport, and North Bend. And remember, on Wednesdays is Wild Wednesday. All their wild products are on sale, and that's wild with a Y. And very good stuff. They got some really good gummies on Wednesdays. They're really cool. I think they're like 25% off. That's a really good price to get off on any product. And so I highly recommend.
And do they have the infused sodas as well?
I don't know if I should tell people about that because every time I tell people about the incredible infused soda that I got to drink on the Friday night rant, it's like the next week I go back and they're all out of the infused soda. They keep saying, oh, no, we sold out. And I'm thinking, oh, man, did I tell too many people about this really good soda?
Yeah.
In fact, it was funny. I went there and there was this nice little old lady standing at the counter buying her gummies, of course, and a couple of joints. And I said, I'll take one of the sodas. And she goes, soda? What's in the soda? And I go, oh, it's infused cannabis in the soda. It's like alcohol, but it's with weed, And she goes, that's very interesting. I said, yeah, but ma'am, whatever you do, don't drink the whole soda. I would start with just a little bit and see how that goes for you. But some good stuff. I highly recommend it because some of us don't tolerate alcohol too well. And,
I've been drinking water all night tonight. So yeah.
You have been drinking water all night? Wow.
Yeah. No beer tonight for me. Yeah.
Because July 4th, I think you had enough beer for the last 3 nights. So I'm sure you're good.
No, I only had 2 beers on July 4th.
No. Didn't you buy like 3 cases of?
Oh, no. Yeah. I bought an 18-pack of Rolling Rock, but it's not like I drank it while I was sitting in the car. No, I took it home, put it in the fridge. And then my wife goes, hey, we're going to the fireworks. And I'm like, oh, that's right. And I forgot to put the beer in the car. So we drove over to the cemetery. And I said, oh, crap, I got Rob's jacket in the back of my car because we were driving back from Roseburg. So I swung by your place and said, hey, I got your jacket. And he's like, oh, thanks. And I'm like, oh, okay, well, we're going to head over to the cemetery. And he said, oh, we're all going. I said, okay, I'll just go with you. And I said, oh, let me run over to
Wilson's.
Let me run over to Wilson's because I saw they were open on the way by. By the time I walked back, they were closed. And I was like, okay, bummer. Bummer,
So
no
I'm
beer
thinking
for
you're
me.
going over to Wilson's to buy another 12-pack of Rolling Rock. What did you do with it? You've already drank one 12-pack and you're still walking. I was really impressed, but I take it that you just forgot your beer. Okay, I get it now. I
No,
get
I
it.
left the beer at the house, and then I got to your place, and your wife was nice enough to front me a beer, and she's going, "Hope you don't mind drinking girly beers," and because she was drinking Corona, and I
Yeah.
was like, "No, come on, I drink Rolling Rock. That's about as girly as it gets." So yeah, I'm good.
Corona is
I'm good
Corona
with.
a girly beer? I never
No, well, that's what
considered.
she said. Well,
Yeah.
I suppose if I would have put a lemon in it in the in the top, then yeah, maybe
Yeah.
that's kind of girly. I don't know.
Usually, boy, back in the day, wasn't it Seagram 7, the wine cooler? Remember the wine cooler before White Claw? Before you had
Oh
White
yeah,
Claw, they had the Seagram 7. The young guys now, that's what they get. They get the White Claw.
yeah.
But yeah, any
No, but I
sweet
mean,
stuff.
whatever she wanted to call it, she goes, "Oh, it's kind of a girly beer," and I'm like, going, "Hey, it's free beer. I'm not going to complain one way or the other." So your
Yeah,
wife was nice enough to give me a beer.
she's a nice lady. She's a
Yeah,
nice
I know. I
lady.
like her.
Oregon Firearms Federation, the only no compromise gun group in Oregon. Oregon Firearms Federation, who'll probably be fighting in court because they just passed some really bad gun legislation.
Now, if you go to that website, OregonFirearms.org, do they have a link to their donation page where you can send them money to help with their legal
Mhm.
fight?
And they
Okay,
have
cool.
two different pages. You can give to their political action committee, or you can give to their educational services, which is, well, it says on their website. But
Okay.
I think when who was Shamia Fagan, old she devil Shamia. Well, she was a real bitch. Oh, she was a
Late
God. I hated her when she was in the legislature. And
Lady
Shamia Fagan,
LaMota.
yeah, she was getting all that Lamota
LaMota
money.
money.
Got to get that Lamota
Ooh,
money. And so
Mota
she was getting
money.
that Lamota money. And that's why I support Herbal Choices. They won't give money to Democrats. There you go. That's, I support businesses, local businesses, and they're good business. But yeah, Lamota was given to Shamia Fagan. But when she became Secretary of State, a lot of us pulled most of our money and closed down our political action committees because we didn't want to deal with Shamia,
Yeah.
fucking with us somehow. And I don't know what she was going to do. I don't know anyone who was messed with. We were just doing it as a preemptive defense. Yeah. Anyone who knows Shamia knows we were right on for doing it. And, then you find out about Lamota and it's like, yep, told you she was corrupt. So we were just protecting ourselves. And it's sad that you have to do that when you shouldn't have to worry about the politicians playing that way. If they want to do what they do in the House, in the Senate, that's one thing. But to do it the way they're doing it is just completely wrong. That's just wrong. You know what I mean?
Oh yeah. No, I mean it's yeah. I was making a comment the other day. It's like for the longest time, Chicago used to be run by Mayor Daley, and the Daley machine was a super corrupt machine. Everybody knew it, but everything ran perfectly. The trains ran on time. Crime was low. Streets got plowed in the winter. Potholes got filled in the summer. You know, parties were going on. Parks were kept clean. And business was booming. And he was taking so much money and getting so much kickbacks, but he made everything work and made sure all the right grease went to the right places. So in that case, everybody was like, okay, that kind of corruption I'm good with. But when it's
Right.
corruption where they're running us into the ground and they're just, they're all the union buddies are getting paid. Now they can get paid to go on strike. So it's like, this is bad corruption.
Yeah.
If Oregon was booming and we were all strutting around being able to go out in the forest and have fun and go on the beach and have fun and not worry about a snowy plover and go onto the sand dunes with your sand buggy and have a festival but no, you go log the forest, go do some crabbing, go do some fishing, but no, sorry, well, you got to have $1 bazillion for all our cronies. And I'm like, That's not how you do corruption, you jackasses.
Yeah, you know exactly. And that's a good point. People will overlook corruption if you're actually benefiting them, but if the trains aren't running on time, yeah, you're going to have problems. So we don't care who the hell you are. And
yeah, we've already spent $123 billion on a train that hasn't gone a mile yet.
Right.
We need more money.
We need more money. Yeah, screw you. No, once again, yeah, the trains aren't even running on time. Jeff P says Sonja made you two look better. I agree with him.
Oh yeah,
there was no doubt about that.
Yeah, she's a great counterpoint, and besides, we're two cranky old dudes, and and having a non-cranky old non-dude, non-cranky was a nice change of pace.
Someone under 40, it was nice. It was nice.
Yeah. I was gonna say, and she looked good too. Let's just put it that way. I think that's the nicest way to put it.
Yeah. Well, and that's and that's the problem. People are so I don't know what's the term, shallow, not shallow, when they just judge you for your looks. What is that called? But damn, there's a term for it. I can't think of it. No, I haven't been doing pod at all, officer. And so people who, you know what I mean? I've noticed, like on Fox News, I tend to like to watch Fox News because for some reason they have a lot of very attractive blondes on there.
Okay.
And it's like, okay, so like Dana Perino. I will watch the extra hour of the 5 if Dana Perino is on there. If not, just forget it. But you know what I'm saying? So
you're saying we're all being shallow because we have a tendency to like enjoy the finer things of life. I mean,
well, that's what some people would say, but no, I agree with you. It's just the finer things in life, but that's kind of what the party needs to be more attractive to people wanting to join. We need to have more attractive people, and that may sound sexist, it may sound biased, but I think it's the damn truth. You know what I mean? If you got fat, ugly people in your party, it's going to be not as appealing as having young, more attractive people in your party, and that's just the truth. And you've been to the Republican meetings. We're the young guys at the Republican meeting. That's the scary part. No, it's that whippersnappers, Marty and Rob, and we're like, what are you talking about? I thought we were old. No, we're ancient old. And then there's a guy in the back, he's got, bear skin on and stuff. No, I'm way older than that. Okay, Pops. So,
why is it every time I go to these meetings, I feel like I'm watching the movie Freaks? But anyway.
Jeff says, okay, well, hold it. I got to call Jeff out on it. He says, I was talking about her intelligence. Right. And you read Playboy for the articles. Yes.
For the articles,
Yes. Sure, Jeff. I got to call you out on that. Actually, Sonja is an incredibly intelligent woman, and if you get onto X, you need to follow her because she's really good at calling out these shithead Republicans. Savannah Hernandez, Michaela Hammerson, she's local. They're really great at calling out these spineless, squishy Republicans, and they have more balls than most of the men who are, they don't want to hurt anyone's feelings. We got to play nice with everybody, even the ones who are corrupt, because, we don't want to look like we're mean. I'll grow a set there, Gomer.
I liked it. You're doing a pretty good droopy there. It's like, I don't want to sound like a mean.
I don't want to. What are you going to make me do that? I don't want to. Yeah. Oh shit! Now we're doing voices. So Oregon Firearms Federation. I know Kevin. If he's watching this, he's like, "Oh, these sons of bitches! I'm going to send a letter from my lawyer to these cease and desist supporting
Don't
my
get me associated with
organization,
these
damn it.
jerkwads. Jeez, I was doing fine until that Friday night rant, and then Marty and Rob are like doing droopy noises, and it's like everybody called up and said, "We're pulling out of the Oregon Firearms Federation."
We're done with that organization. No, really,
gotta-
they're a really good organization. Don't let us affect
Yeah.
your decision when it comes to the Oregon Firearms Federation. For God's sake, go to their website. Don't listen to us two morons.
Don't let two mindless retards talk you out of following the Oregon's Firearm Federation.
Right.
So, do you know what Sonja's handle is on X?
Sonja Argo. Argo. What is it? Sonja. Agro. Sonja Agro. AGRO. Sonja Agro. I think is what it was. I thought that was her last name the first time I met her. And so when I had her on the radio, I used that as her name, but that's just her handle on X.
Gotcha.
So, and my handle is Lance Goodthrust at Lance Goodthrust. You can.
Yeah, I think that's your handle on XXX, not
X.
That's
it.
The platform.
Yes, Abandoned Gun Club. The Abandoned Gun Club, I highly recommend if you want to hone in your firearm skills. This is the place to take your pistol out to their pistol range or take your shotgun out to their 5-stand trap shoot. It's really incredible stuff out there, folks. And bring the kids. They'll have a great time. All of you can become members of the Abandoned Gun Club. And they don't have a rifle range, but you know who does? Well, Taiga Sports Park at taigasportspark.org. You can find out more about when Taiga Sports Park is open, and they do accept volunteers. So if you want to volunteer to be a park ranger and teach people firearms lessons, and of course you have to be someone who's capable, responsible, has integrity. Not me or Marty, but other people.
Yeah, hold on. Now you're counting me out already. Thanks a lot. Yeah. You know,
Marty's going to be your firearm ranger.
Yeah, they wouldn't even allow me on there with a water pistol. So yeah, count me out.
I'll take your eye out with that, kid.
Yeah.
Oh, he thinks that's water.
The Red Ryder BB gun. You'll take your eye out, kid.
And let's see, where else are we? Oh, the Coos County Neighborhood Watch. Really great group. A lot of stuff going on. There's a lot of new crazies in town. Did you ever sign up for this Coos County Neighborhood Watch?
I have not, actually.
Oh, you got to go onto this the Facebook page. They've got video there that you'll just not believe happening out in the boondocks of our county. I mean, there are camps out in the middle of nowhere, and these guys are confronting these people. It's just really cool to watch them and see their work, because it's sad that our forests and our natural areas are getting destroyed. Places where children should be going and learning about nature, but no, they're learning about all the druggies who are out in the woods using their drugs, leaving their needles around, human feces, stolen bikes, shopping carts. That's the one that ticks me off, shopping carts. You want to know why your groceries are so expensive? Maybe it's the 3,000 shopping carts in the woods there. And people wonder why. I guess I catch someone taking a shopping cart. I'll get out. I will stop my car and get out. It just ticks me off that much. It's
wow.
So I don't know. Maybe it's just me. But I tell people, you can't be a cuck. Don't be a cuck and take back your neighborhood. That's the message there. Oh, I got another one. Where is it here?
But wait, there's more.
There's more.
County Citizen Council.
Council. That's it. So they have a video out, a brand new video out from the stuff that you could see on the former page, the Coos County Neighborhood Watch. Well, you could see it first on Coos County Citizen Council, because one of the guys that goes out there is Chris Castleman, and they filmed this stuff. And he has a podcast that they play on every Wednesday, and I like to promote the hell out of it. He's the next generation that's coming up in this county, And if you people truly want a conservative, America first type people who are going to be the leaders of tomorrow, Chris is that type of person. Brandy, Martindale, those are the type of people that you want to support and help out when they need your help, because they're going to need your help coming up, because we've got the Republican Party is in complete disarray, and they're going to be meeting not the next Thursday, but the 24th. I believe it was the 24th. Let me double check before I say that. Yes, the 24th at 6 p.m. at the Cozy Kitchen in Myrtle Point. And I'm going to be there. I think Marty's going to be there. Marty, you're going to be there, of course, because we got a booth. Theory. Yeah, we got a booth. We're going to be at the booth, and then we're going to get to go to this cool meeting, and we might get to yell at each other. This is really cool. I think what we should do, Marty, is you get at one end of the room and I'll get at the other end of the room. And then when people start yelling, we'll just start yelling stuff at each other, but we will say stuff that won't even make sense. You know what I mean? And
oh yeah, might as well. Well, of course, more often than not, I say stuff that doesn't make sense anyway. So I'll be right in my element. I'm like
right in your
there.
element.
I got it.
And yeah,
I got this.
But I'm hoping. Yeah, that's what I mean. Stand up and just say that, and bring the emotional support cow, the one that identifies as a pony. And
well, actually, my emotional support cow that's identifying as a pony is actually going to be at the fair. The 4-H is going to have a special ribbon ceremony for emotional support cows identifying as ponies now. So I've actually got my emotional support cow entered. I hope to get a blue ribbon. So there you go.
What pronouns do they use for these the cows or the ponies?
It's moo/Winnie.
That's good to know, because I wouldn't want to gender any cows or well, actually, it's not misgendering. It would be misspecieing and.
Oh,
how would you say that? Misspecieing and.
You don't want to be a speciest.
I don't want to be a speciest and, show any preferential treatment to either the cow or the pony, because they both deserve dignity and respect, especially when we're eating them. That's
well, and since I just got a $20 million grant to explore the emotional support cow / pony initiative, I will be investing a lot of time in this. So there you go.
That's a good deal. I like this. So if you guys can show up to the meeting on Thursday, the 24th, we'll have the emotional support cow who identifies as a pony at the Cozy Kitchen for our Republican meeting. And don't worry if we're just shouting nonsense back and forth at each other, because that's pretty much the leadership of the Republican Party. So that's what can be expected. But they are supposed to take our PCPs. So you need to sign up one of them ACL 105 forms so you can be a PCP.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, I've got plenty of them. And then
we're going to have those.
Next question is if we're going to be hanging out next to the Republican booth for 2 days before the meeting, do you think they're going to preemptively keep us from going to the meeting because they're like, oh, we've had to put up with these jerks for 2.5 days. They can't come to our meeting at the Cozy Kitchen.
That's a damn good question. I'm hoping David Brock Smith will show up for the fair. But the thing is that they almost never show up unless their position is up for election. If that's the case, they're there every single time. But it's funny, when it's an off year, they're not there. The politicians don't show up. Isn't that kind of weird? It's almost like they don't care about us.
If he's not there, what will they do for rodeo clowns?
That's a good question.
I mean, he can take the place of a couple of rodeo clowns and a couple of those big barrels. And if he's not there, think of all the peril and danger these rodeo riders are going to be in. So David Brock Smith better show up because they need more clowns.
We'll see what kind of move he makes. He may actually show up for this meeting or upcoming meeting, because I think he understands nobody's happy with the leadership over there, and they're going to get rid of that leadership. And when they do, new people are going to step forward, and they're pissed at him for supporting Democrats. I mean, they are just completely mad that, and then on top of it, he just lost that whole thing with the Secretary of State.
Secretary of State called him out for campaign violations, contribution violations.
And so you combine that. Yeah. And then on top of it, we find out he's paying Michael Brainerd for some type of services. I mean, it's like, how much more are we supposed to take from this guy before we say, okay, enough's enough. We're not going to do this anymore.
Exactly. So what else do we have to cover? Have we covered all the people that are sponsors, but we don't want to say they're sponsors so that the Sal Carruthers of the world go and throw handbags at them or something?
Yeah, we don't want to do that, but we do want to say thank you to Conspiratard. Thank you for Jeff Pete for tuning in. Thank you, Phil Taylor, for tuning in. I want to thank everyone who showed up because, hey, we appreciate that. Make sure, share, and like my pages. We really appreciate that. James
McHenry was on there for a while.
James McHenry was on there for a while. Hey, Marty was on there.
Michaela was talking us up on X, so she was on there like, oh, it's my favorite show. My favorite show is on.
She rocks. I appreciate her so much. And before we get out of here, okay, thank you for saying something.
Yeah, we forgot to talk about NVBM, didn't we? Wow.
Yes, we did.
There you go. There's the URL. If you want to end vote by mail in Oregon, and why would you not want to end vote by mail in Oregon? Because vote by mail is the most corrupt method for having an election ever. So if you want to get your vote back, and you want to end vote by mail, go to endvbm.com. And in the upper right-hand corner, there's a button so you can donate. But also there's, we are going to be putting things on there where it's like how you can connect with people in your county to get these petitions signed. So we're going to be at a booth at the Coos County Fair. I think the Curry County people are doing something. I know Michaela and Samantha Frost, I was going to say Sammy, Samantha Frost will be doing stuff in Douglas County. But we have every single county in the state signed up right now except for, I think it's Gilliam. And I'm like, Gilliam's a county?
What's the matter with you, Gilliam? We're coming to see you. We're going to have to put some tariffs on your ass. You're getting tariffs, Gilliam.
Yeah, we're going to have to send the skipper after you. Gilliam! Yeah. Hit him over the head with a hat or something.
Hit him over the head with a hat.
But anyway, so we've got people organized in pretty much every county right now already, and we're still in the process of getting the petitions like printed and sent out, and and we want to have the same branding at all the fairs. But it's not just the county fairs. I mean, we want to get involved in other things, like if there's a car show, if there's a quilting bee, if there's something like that. And you want to get a petition and you want to have people sign, well, hit one of us up and we'll make it happen. So we're still working on the infrastructure for this. I'm working on getting Sign Up Genius working so that when you have an event, you can go to Sign Up Genius and say, I need 10 people for 3 hours. And you can point them to that and they can say, I'll volunteer. I'll volunteer for this time slot. And then we can just work it from there. I mean, there's a lot of things that need to be done, but we are the people that's going to get it done. So here we go. Let's get it done.
I will have the IP31 petitions as well at the booth, just so we can kill two birds with one stone. And if I find any other good signature sheets out there, I'll get them. And I think that's the best way to do this is keep pile on with initiatives, and we'll see what happens. I mean, I'd love to get it on the ballot.
Only one signature per person, please. You can't have all your multiple personalities signing. So,
Sal's going to be disappointed. Yeah,
I can see that. Yeah, he's going to be way upset. So once again, nvbm.com. You can see the URL on the screen now. So go there and. They've already got their slot at the state fair, so they're going to be at the state fair. And and every day we're getting more locations that there are going to be events. So There should be one coming to you soon, nearby anyway. And if not, maybe you can organize one. So there you go.
And that's what we've been. I hope you encourage everyone who watches the show, get involved. I mean, everyone that we have on the show, they've ran for office. They're doing something that moves the agenda forward. You know what I mean? Or fights against the revolution, the Marxist revolution that we're experiencing. I don't know. Hey, can you hear me over the music?
For a while there, you kind of cut out, but now you sound fine.
Okay. Yeah. Sometimes
when you first started, it was like, I'm like going, why is all of a sudden he's going bit, and then it cleared up. So you're good now.
Okay, that may have been just me. Sometime I did have a full can of infused marijuana.
So,
all right. Well, thank you for joining me. I appreciate it, and thank you, Marty. I appreciate you, and we'll take care of you when we go to the fair. That'll be fun. That'll be great. We'll get those signatures. We'll get moving on that. And until next time, folks, tune in on Monday. I've got an interview with the guy who's running that IP31 initiative. It's a statewide initiative. It was a good interview. He gives a lot of good information. And like I said, we hope to have that as well at the fair for you guys to sign. So that'll be happening Monday. And until then, folks, you know what I always say? Carry on, Coos County. Carry on. Later, Marty.
Carry on.